Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are in for another day of the Riyadh Masters group stage, and it is MLP Dota and John X5. Jonathan, I was literally just telling you, our production team gave up on us and would just throw us in. And here we are. We've been thrown into the wolves, Jonathan. How the hell are you doing?
Doing great, Mike. We've already started off with the groups in a pretty good tone. Lots of exciting matches yesterday, more exciting matches here today, and I'm keen to see what happens. Every single series counts. I was having a big laugh because right before we went live, what the heck did you say? You said something like, "There's no I in team," and I was like, "Oh!" And then we just instantly cut into us. Yeah, that's perfect.
Our producer
It's
just
exactly
came back
what
and
I
was like,
love.
"Guys, I'm back." Oh, I'm back, guys. Like, yeah, it's a bit late, but thank you for coming back. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. So here we are. But obviously, we've got some great series on today. We've got Quest versus Team Spirit to get things started on the sea. Let's bring up the schedule. Why am I even bringing these teams up, Jonathan? I've got a terrible memory. Quest Esports up against Team Spirit to start things off. Of course, Team Liquid up against Bet Boom for our second match of the day. And then after that, we've got 9 Pandas against Extreme Gaming with the Execration logo, I believe, and then Team Liquid with Shopify Rebellion. Good news, John. Execration, they are still here. So happy days for us.
Yeah, they're somewhat still here. At the very least, the logo's there. You know, they're hanging around in logo form at the very least. But you know, they're having a safe trip wherever they're going. I'm sure, as the first two series are what we're covering, Mike. Yeah, they're used to it. They had a laugh before coming in.
Hey, these guys are experts when it comes to the airport routing and everything. They know every pathway, let me tell you, Jonathan. These guys are fantastic. I still appreciate Extreme Gaming's new team logo. I do like it. It looks very, very nice. But those are the matchups coming up today, Jonathan. We also have a prize pool I think we can bring up. And there you go, Jonathan. $5 million for the first place spot, which, you know, obviously if you and I were playing, we'd probably be there in the first place spot, John. But alas, we decided to cast instead. So here we are. We get to read out these big numbers. 2.5 mil for the second place, 1.7 for the third. Fourth is, of course, 1.2. And you know, John, I don't care about anything under $1 million. You know how I am. I'm a big shot, so we're not going to even read out the rest of the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a good chunk of money. You know, everyone gets to go home with a good change of cash in their pocket, even if you get eliminated early. But you do want to be number one. You want to earn at least $1 million, as Mike has mentioned, and we'll see. And your group stage is forming up into the playoffs. And again, every single best of 2 counts. There are only so many games. We've got until Monday, I believe, to play through these groups. So a single draw can kind of determine whether or not you're in the top 4 or the bottom 4. And, you know, you want to start in that upper bracket here, Mike. You definitely don't want to be in the bottom 2.
Absolutely, Jonathan. Absolutely. Anyway, we'll go into it very, very soon. Game number 1, game number 2 should be coming up. Or game number 1 should be coming up very, very soon. Couldn't help but notice as well, Jonathan, if I may just kind of bring this up for a moment, it appears that there's some new emote called Dino Dance going on, which is very, very cute, I might add. I've been appreciating all the Dino dancing that's been happening in the Twitch chats across the streams. You know, back in my day, Jonathan, it used to be all about cat jamming, but now we have Dino Dance, so there's that. Do you like Dino Dance better than cat jam, Jonathan? Is it superior in your opinion?
Superior? I wouldn't say it's superior. I'd say equal on tiering, perhaps. I don't know. There's something about Cat Jam that just resonated with my soul. I mean, the Dino Dance is cool, but you know, it's not an actual cat going just like that. You know, it's nothing like that. But it's up there at the very least, and I'm keen to see how up there we'll get with Quest and Team Spirit, of course. Score lines for both teams in the similar ballpark, both going for draws so far in groups. Quest arguably maybe facing off against much more manageable opponents, although I would say it's hard to say there's any manageable teams left here in our groups, as these are all pretty competitive matches. Quest getting 2 draws, Team Spirit getting 2 draws up against arguably the harder opponents here in EG and Game and Gladiator. So I think that does set a better tone for Team Spirit coming in, but you have to remember Quest has played more games. They've played through the play-ins, and that normally gives a team an advantage because that gives them their warm-up period. So Team Spirit, we've seen them go off to slower starts, but again, all things considered, a 2-0 is not too bad to kick things off here in the groups.
No, it certainly isn't, Jonathan. We are going to get into Game 1 draft very soon. But before we switch over the cameras to the drafting screen, can I just say as well, because you picked on me yesterday, and I wanted the chance to pick back on you. You said to me, I'm underdressed. You made fun of my haircut. You made fun of my beard. You said I looked like I was casting from a bedroom, which theoretically I suppose I am. Now, who's underdressed, Jonathan? I've combed my hair. I put wax and gel and everything else. I trimmed my beard for you. I put on a nice shirt. Now who's casting from their bedroom, John?
Oh, I've always been casting from my bedroom, Mike. I could always
Yes.
just lie down right now if you want me to. You can
But I
go
look
solo
better.
cast. I've got the bed. You do look better. You do look
Yes.
better. But when you know what looks better than you, Mike? A draft, and that's what the
No.
viewers want. And we should no. Don't argue with me. Production agrees. You see? Shout out to Carl. Thank you for backing me up here. Quest going off with the bans on the Bat Rider and the IO. Nothing too surprising. We've seen a lot more of the IO Lesh come back in here. Team Spirit taking care of the Undying. Wondering if they still prioritize some of the more annoying supports or maybe an offlaner like, say, the Brood Mother. Could be one of those heroes. Feels like Brood is still a first phase ban. If not banned, then one of the teams will pick it up for sure. So it's down to Spirit whether or not they want to deal with a Brood. And they might have
Find
to.
out. Yeah, Darkseer banned out. Do they want the Broodmother themselves, Quest? The answer is no. They'd rather the Rubik to come out first, which Rubik has been very popular as of late. Obviously, this hero is basically very dependent on other heroes being really good. You know, it turns out other heroes are pretty damn good at the moment, so Rubik does get picked up once again.
Yeah, feels pretty damn good in lane as well. I think it's normally very hard to trade up against a Rubik plus the off lane. Something like Rubik Tide, Rubik Doom, even Rubik Beastmaster can be really strong. So it's highly oppressive for the enemy safe lane. Of course, there's always the off chance to get a Rubik mid, but outside of Kiyotaka, we haven't seen that too often, so probably not going to get that. As Team Spirit can pick up the silencer. Yes, Mike?
I know I already said this like on day one of the Riyadh Masters, but I still, till this day, remember when Rubik first came out in Dota All-Stars. And let me tell you, John, like, I know people like to say Monkey King was the most busted hero when it first dropped. I've got to tell you, for the people out there that played Dota All-Stars and were there when Rubik first got introduced, holy crap, this was a broken hero. It was ridiculous. If I remember correctly, it used the same model as the Gambler, did it not? Or was that different? I can't remember now. That was a long, long time ago, that one. But I'm just saying, Rubik, when it first came out, my god, you could not tell what the hell was happening. Speaking of not being able to tell what's happening, Primal Beast is here now.
Yeah. Primal Beast is... It's been on the rise. It's felt pretty oppressive. This should be our Malik hero on the off lane coming out here. Request, again, setting up for a pretty strong dual lane of Rubik Primal Beast. Good way to run down, look for the back line, maybe jump the silencer. By the time you onslaught and trample in, global silence won't matter too much, although Pulverize is still pivotal for the Primal Beast to have a lot of space. Team Spirit with their own Mars pickup, just setting up for some comfort here for Collapse. Really big team fights coming out with Global Silence and Arena, and can kind of build up on that foundation of Mars really well. I would say I do prefer what Quest has to open up with. It's hard to discount the Collapse Mars, of course, but it just feels easier to play a Primal Beast game. You know, it doesn't need too much farm. You can go for your Vanguard early on for early durability. You're probably going to need a BKB here, but beyond that, you're going to be pretty happy. You don't have to worry about the Rubik on the enemy team as well, trying to steal Pulverize. So the opening Rubik does make sense here for the side of Quest, and with both sides picking off lanes, it's very likely Broodmother actually gets ignored here.
I mean, that's fair. It still could be a mid-Primal Beast as well from Quest, I would argue. In fact, I say mid-Primal Beast, we actually saw mid-Mars coming out from, I believe it was 9 last night in day 3 games, so I do agree that they should be in the offlane, but you never know. Could be a little bit of some cheeky things going on here. I'd argue the Primal Beast maybe a little bit more likely to be in the mid lane than, say, the Mars, but again, we saw the Mars mid yesterday from 9, which did look very, very good. There's your Storm Spirit ban out from Quest, so Quest do seem to believe it is going to be the standard offlane Mars, and just ban the Spirit Brothers out. I'm sure the next ban will be Earth Spirit from Quest Esports, because, you know, he's such a great mid laner.
Mike. Yep. Very, very funny. Ha ha ha.
I mean,
it's not coming back. It's not it. Give up. Give it a month.
Can we just have the other spirits become, like, supports then? Because that would make it fair. If the other Spirit Brothers were all supports, then I would be happy.
I mean, you're acting like they can't be. I remember Motivate Trust running Phosphor Storm. Phosphor Embers was a thing. A dead team, Mike. A dead team. It's gone.
Long time ago.
But there was some magic there.
Yeah, there was. Snapfire gonna be banned up.
It's been a high priority now. You know, we've seen a lot of snap mids. It's just really hard to shove it away from the mid lane, get some early spikes. Plays really well with a lot of early engagements with the Kizis, and then you have the scaling as a universal type with your level 20 talent. So it's been a pretty high priority ban and pick for a lot of teams. Laurel in particular has been running it quite a fair bit. His mid pool has been a little bit more limited in comparison. Just basically a Lesh, Puck, and Snap coming out from him, at least in this group stage here for Riyadh Masters. So just taking away the comfort in the Spirit Brothers, taking away the busted Snap. And the side of Team Spirit focusing much more on our TA2000 heroes, Jug, Faces Void, and Naga, all out the picture. Something like PL could still slide in if they really wanted an Elu type here for Quest, but we haven't seen too much PL in this tournament either. Although TA2000 has run it a couple of times. There's stuff like, I suppose, an Ursa down the line for Quest. They wanted that. The matchup against Mars is a little bit more awkward, very kiteable. The Ursa is, but you do enjoy going up against tanky heroes. So if you can just pin down the Mars in lane, then it can be an easy rundown lane as well. If you time your spell usage right there in the Ursa.
That could be. Team Spirit. They're still thinking about this third pick. Should just be a support pickup, at least for now.
Radiant team pick.
And they are going to go for the Shadow Demon, which has been popular as of late, to say the least. See, Shadow Demon Disruption Save always going to be pretty damn good, but the laning stage, I think, is more what you're picking up Shadow Demon for these days, just the Shadow Poison. Such a dominant spell, a laning ability to have on your side of things, and always going to feel really good. But you do have great saves here, right? Against the Primal Beast, you can disrupt during the Pulverize, or even against the Rubik, just disrupt during the Telekinesis. Mind you, when you pick heroes like this, you are giving those spells back the way of the Rubik, assuming it is a good enough Rubik play, which it certainly is in this case. So there is a bit of hit and miss, but I suppose you could say that about any hero that Team Spirit are about to pick up.
Yeah, you always have to consider the Rubik, but you always have the initiative on Team Spirit. Like, even just the lane coming out should just be our Mira Shadow Demon with the Collapse Mars, and you've got the basic Spear set up in that lane. You've got a lot of ways to be disruptive up against TA2000. An Ursa pickup here now feels really awkward, as there's a lot of kiting coming out from the Shadow Demon. So you're likely not to lean that way. Perhaps TA2000 looks for something like his Terrorblade, which can stand further back, although again, in lane you're tied into your Metamorphosis, which doesn't feel amazing. It can be a little bit trickier. They'll just go for the PL. So into the PL they go. Again, not the most popular, but we have seen it slip by every now and again, and TA2000 has played quite a fair bit of the PL. There is some clear on Team Spirit, but as the game goes on, the Mars doesn't necessarily deal with the illusion spam all that well. Like, once you hit a hard timing here on TA2000, you're pretty happy. You've got the Ags build up for some tempo as well, if you want to lean that way for TA2000. And you don't care too much about disruption. You can always kind of just dance around as well. Your illusions being stolen by Shadow Demon aren't the worst thing in the world. And Quest go into the Ench. So you've got the PL Ench lane coming out. You have a lot of early aggression. As you mentioned last time we saw the Ench, we're seeing a move away from Impetus. It's just all about enchant and healing. And that means trading with the Ench is not going to feel comfy. Even if you manage to land multiple Shadow Poison stacks, Ench just pulls back, heals, and comes back in.
Yeah, I think the new... I don't want to say new skill build, because this has been... you tend to rotate skill builds a little bit as the time goes on with Dota 2, but I do like this style of skill build as well, because with Impetus, you are kind of locked into just spamming Impetus a couple times during the laning stage. You run out of mana, you're going to need some regen, blah, blah, blah. A little bit different when it comes to the WE build on the Ench, which I think is just much more sustainable. As Team Spirit, they do go for the Bloodseeker pickup, which is going to be their answer towards the PL. You see, the Rupture are going to be very annoying for the Phantom Lancer throughout this game, and you do have some very nice setup during the laning stage with the Shadow Demon and the Bloodseeker. Disruption to Bloodright, very, very easy to land. It should be a decent enough laning stage as well for Team Spirit here with this safe lane duo. Do I like Bloodseeker into PO is the question, Jonathan. I want to say no, but I also appreciate that Team Spirit need a way of dealing with this guy. And right now, like, you've got Mars, which is nice. You've got Global Silence, which is nice against PO. Overall, though, late game PO is still going to be a huge issue if it gets to that stage.
And it will be. There's a argument for maybe Mjolnir build up here, or Radiance is a little bit too tight, I don't think, for a timing, but the burn, the mischance is pretty annoying for the PL, so if you get off in a good lane here for Yatoro, certainly will have a lot of impact. I am curious where they lane the Shadow Demon now. Like, what Mira and Miposh could kind of swap around the Silencer and the Shadow Demon, but you can get some good aggression in either lane with the Shadow Demons. I'm just very curious which they prioritize. A faster lane for the Bloodseeker, or more oppression onto the PL with that disruption into Spear. Either one feels good. And for Quest, the one here I can see coming out here for Laurel on mid that should be annoying is maybe something like the Puck. You don't have the best lockdown for something slippery like the Puck or Quap here for Quest to deal with, so that is likely to be their next ban. I'd say the Puck is higher priority. Dream Coil kind of messes up with a Phantom Lancer and how he wants to dance around here. So it should just be a straightforward Puck ban for them. For Team Spirit, and keeping an eye out for what might want to run down mid. He's got a few options available if they're worried, although I don't see anything that really pops out. Maybe something tempo like, say, a Tiny with a fast blink could be pretty strong. Helps you take care of the back line. You can just try to hunt the Silencer or Shadow Demon if you've got the forward vision somehow. And there's the Tiny ban. Will it be a Puck ban for Quest or something like Quap? Either one's pretty annoying here. Leshrac instead. Just ensuring a smooth time and not worrying about too much illusion burn here.
Yeah, I think the Lesh is a perfectly fine ban to make. Final ban to come. Team Spirit's still looking to ban up maybe just the mid laners here of Quest Esports. Unless, again, they just assume it's a Primal Beast mid, which it still could be.
5 seconds remaining.
The flex is there at least for Quest Esports. You know, if these last picks turn out to not be the best for Quest, that, mind you, they are going to have the first last pick to make, so they don't really have the luxury of flexing too much. The Puck was banned out by Team Spirit. And Quest Esports, where do they want to go? Like, it does feel like you want a mid that can set a pace in this kind of game.
Team Spirits turn to pick.
Oh, it is going to be the mid primal. Okay. I don't mind that, right? Because the Tide's just going to naturally do better in the offlane against the Shadow Demon Bloodseeker combo. I would argue, compared to, say, the Primal Beast, who needs to try and wait out that silence to onslaught away, the Tide Hunter just has Kraken Shield, so he doesn't really care.
Yeah, it's pretty oppressive for the Bloodseeker. It should still be a relatively safe lane to farm in, but you can't underestimate the output coming out from Tide and Rubik. Gush plus the Fade Bolt can be pretty annoying. Fade Bolt plus Anchor Smash means it's not a smooth time for you to farm up here for Yatoro. I'm a little bit surprised Team Spirit banned out the Puck themselves. Felt like that could have fit in. They'll go with the Quap instead that we were talking about. Still not the best lockdown from Quest to pin down Laurel. I do like what we're seeing. I love this flex coming out from Quest with Noob running the Primal Beast mid. Matchup against Quap, not the smoothest. You know, Quap still feels pretty good with the Shadow Strike spam, but Primal Beast can at least always charge away, can pressure in with charging forward with Trample, and apply some pressure onto Laurel. Mind you, there's some funky combos here Quest can do, Mike. They've got the good old Rupture Steal into Pulverize, which is always hilarious. If you can kind of get that done. You steal Rupture, so when Pulverize on top, you're like, they're dead. So that's always fun.
Well, why does that work? Like, why does Rupture keep doing damage through Pulverize? When
Well,
you're
if
moving
you
up
are
and
moving through the Z-axis, right? You are still going up and down through the Z-axis.
Okay.
It still bugs out. At the very least, you don't have the good old Hoodwink Rupture Pulverize bug, which just insta-gibbed everyone. That was always fun. I'm not sure if we've ever seen that in the pro game, sadly.
Oh, well, whatever. Well, it's Dota 2 physics. I don't know what to say anymore. We'll see how it all pans out. This is going to be a very interesting game number 1 between Quest Esports and, of course, the side of Team Spirit. Both teams currently tied in 3rd place in their groups right now. So both teams kind of desperate to not just force a draw and find a 2-0 and move their way up through the group stages here of the Riyadh Masters 2023. We'll see which team that is going to be, and if it is going to be any of these teams, because it could just be a draw, Jonathan. Game 1, though, will be a strong start for one of these teams to try and find that 2-0 victory if they certainly can, as we will be heading into the game rather soon, I believe. Though I say that, there has been some disconnections, so maybe some pauses to happen before we even get into the game. Players disconnecting from the draft screen, never a safe bet to make, but, you know, some people, they're feeling a bit frisky today. They'll disconnect now.
Yeah. At the very least, we have the draft done, right? So the worst thing that could happen is we'll know we're going in, so it's not too bad. Spoiler alert, we are loading in, so that is good. But at the least, you know, when you're true to draft, I'm not as scared. If we have to remake, the draft is there. You don't have to see us as much, and we should be fine. This is safe, Mike. Good start. Nothing wrong.
All right,
no jinx.
Let's head into it. Game number 1 between Team Spirit and Quest. Now officially, we do have a pause. We do have a pause.
You're stuck
Oh,
with
there
us
you go.
again.
Yeah,
Unfortunate.
There you go. Here we go again. They're saying good luck, have fun, but nothing spicy is happening. Don't worry, we're stuck in a pause right now. But both teams are smoked up. If that is any kind of action towards everybody. Oh, you're gonna go in game. All right, we're gonna go in game. All right, let's go in game and just stare at the smoke here.
Look at this. Stare
Here we
at
go.
Noob. Look at that. You see the
Ooh.
particle effect still going and during the pause. It looks so funny.
Very pog.
Everything
nice
else is paused, but not the run of the primal
Hold on,
beast.
I thought you could. Why can't we go into showcase view right now? Can we not do that?
You
Like I'm trying to do that and I can't do it.
What did I think it overlaps with the spectator hotkeys, because
Oh.
in game the spectator view is what I, the showcase view is I. In game it's, well, in spectator I is buyback status, so there is
No, but
overlap.
there's a
there,
button.
Mikey.
There's usually a button, John.
Yeah, it's gone. It's been gone since the patch.
What?
Have you not read the patch? Have you not interacted with the HUD? It's gone.
Why
It's
did-
not there. It's
why-
not been there since the new patch.
Well, I haven't had to do any observing since a year or two ago, John. I can't remember anymore. Why would I read the observing
Even
side of
in
it?
game, you wouldn't have that little button. It's not there.
Well, why would I go into showcase view while I'm playing a game, John?
So you're bored. Because you
Oh.
want a challenge. Have you tried playing Lion in Showcase, trying to line up an Earth Spike? It's pretty funny.
Oh, I
I've
haven't,
tried.
John.
It's actually fun. It's actually fun. You're gonna grief your team, but it's pretty entertaining.
Okay. And to be fair with you, you're always griefing your team, so it's nothing too different.
And we're a 5-stack. They know what they sign into. Mind you, I grief myself by playing with Boom.Lane, so
That's
I
true.
suppose that's on me.
But you don't play with me, Jonathan. You never invite me to a game. You want to
Well,
explain
you've always
yourself
got-
live on stream?
Well, number one, your schedule is eccentric. Number two, I can't even schedule a podcast with you. You're expecting me to schedule a game with you.
Right.
You know?
What's number 3?
Number three, it's Mike LaPhoenix. You guys would know when you queue into him. You would completely understand. Trust me.
I'm a nice guy, John. I'm very
You
pure.
are a nice guy. You are a nice guy.
Oh.
I just don't like laning with you, Mike. I've got some core memories out there about our lanes. I remember you crying about the gyrocopter, and I'm there as a support. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do to help you? Just crying all the damn time. I just feel awful. And you know, it's just like, all right.
Sad thing
Sweet.
is, this is not a joke anymore. This literally happened.
Not even a bit. It's not even a bit. Oh,
I'm
those
sorry
were
about
fun
that,
games,
John.
Mike. It's all right. I understand.
know what it was?
Dota 2 makes us monsters.
I'll tell you what it is, John. You weren't harassing. That's what pissed me off.
I was
getting
harassing. You were crying
weren't.
about your CS disappearing.
You
I was
had full
earth
mana.
spiking and right clicking.
You had full
That's the
mana by 2
line.
minutes.
Because you were also crying about me not pulling. Which is it? I'm one hero, Mike. I can't harass and pull at the same time. You know? The camps were a
Alright.
bit further back then, too.
All right,
Oh,
all right.
Mike
I'll give it to you.
Phoenix.
I'm a hard man
Mike
to please.
Phoenix. You
I'm a
really
hard man
are.
to please. Anyway, Team Spirit. They're fighting over the bottom boundary. There's double vision around this area, so Quest might still go for the fight.
Begins.
Collapse gonna zone them out. Doesn't seem like they're gonna be able to make it, so there's gonna be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounties anyway. And while we're around, we may as well start with the bottom lane. Of course, you're gonna have TA2000 and Cowrie against Mirror and Collapse. What are you thinking about this lane? Like, should it just be an auto win because you have an Ench? In fact, I just realized as well, John, Mirror's playing the Shadow Demon, so you don't have that Bloodseeker Shadow Demon laning stage that I was expecting. But go on, the bottom lane, what do you think?
I think this is still pretty solid. You've still got the spear set up with Disruption, which is pretty solid as well. This should feel pretty decent for Cowrie and TA2000. You have to watch the level 2, level 3 spikes. Cowrie going for the early impetus is pretty nice up against Mars, to be fair. But the damage output just isn't as buttery smooth as before. Mind you, you might not get too much value from the healing and enchant, as Shadow Demon doesn't really care. Shadow Poison tends to win out trades anyway, down the line. TA2000 shouldn't be contested too hard. Lane control is really important. You want this to be in a position where the Mars can't just look for free spear angles with a disruption. So they've got to be pretty disciplined in clearing out and denying here, managing their lane, but they're doing a pretty good job on that already for Quest early on. So no early issues here in the first few levels.
No, certainly not. Not that mid lane. Lal and Noob going at it here in the mid lane, the Corp vs Primal Beast matchup. Now, it seems like it should somewhat favor the Primal Beast in terms of CS, but Lal obviously going to have the big advantage when it comes to harass. Lal trying to press that advantage right now. Noob not too threatened by it, but he does only have one Tango left to be absolutely fair. He's just fine for now as bottom lane. There was a little bit of action, but nothing to write home about. Perhaps we'll look at that top lane, John. Yatoro and Miposhka against Malik and Omar. Looks like a pretty standard kind of tied Rubik lane. Probably not going to die. Probably going to be the ones trying to be aggressive. But now Omar going a little bit too far. Going to cop a blood right and a last word, but is going to be just fine.
You know what's funny about this lane? I have one friend that I always lane with, and he always tells me to go for these kinds of heroes. He loves playing Silencer plus Bloodseeker. Let me tell you, just spamming out Blood Right plus the Arcane Curse is pretty annoying. Omar's already forced to salve up. Yatoro should have a stable lane. Again, you're up against a Rubik Tide. Anchor Smash plus Fade Bolt can be annoying, but not necessarily enough to really stop Yatoro from controlling the lane. Although you have to watch yourself here.
Yeah, Miposhka, he's going to cop it real bad. First Blood going to go the way of Omar, and that's the kind of combo you got to worry about. Like, just the lift back into the gush is more than enough to kill a Silencer like that. As bottom lane, a bit of a dive. Kaori in trouble. We'll go down to Mirror. Shadow Poison Smacks getting the job done. Bit of a trade across the map, though, certainly in favor of Quest. They do secure First Blood on their end of things.
Yeah, and that's a nice start to come out for Malik. Yeah, you have to be concerned about how fast the Tide finds his Vanguard timing, or even just a Meteor Hammer is going to feel pretty good here with regen on hand. The combination of Blood Right plus Arcane Curse is nice, but you're not really going to be looking at the Tide for that. It's a value point in Kraken, and just his natural durability means that it's not really going to be enough to scare him away. So you're really mainly trading with a Rubik, but it's also not something Omar minds too much. Still has one Tango, can always ferry out more regen, and he is doing a decent enough job of just wasting the mana on both these heroes from Team Spirit. Like, Yatoro only really has, what, one spell cast left with a Healing Lotus available, which he'd want to save for the HP. Does have some good magic wand charges, but it's now pretty controllable for Tide approaching level 3 here.
Certainly his apologies about that, Jonathan. My decided to buck for absolutely no reason. As mid lane, Lyle's going to get charged through the onslaught, but he's going to be just fine. Hit the living bejesus out of me just then. Goodness.
I didn't actually hear it. I wish I heard it if it scared you.
Top lane, Noob's having a bit of a rotation with a full creep wave. They do clip up the wave though to make... Oh, he gets stunned. He got stunned by the Ogre Bruiser. He's okay. They glyph the wave. Oh, he's still going to get stunned? No, he gets the creep. He got stunned once though. In fact, Lyle's going to jump in and try to capitalize off this. He's okay. He'll TP back to the tier 1 mid.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a greedier play going behind the enemy lines to try to clear out the wave, but forcing out the early fortify is nice. He is under now, and that's giving a little bit of a boon here for Yatoro to manage up top. And we'll have to walk back to the base and back to lane. Not the best feeling in the world for the mid. Lots of value for Team Spirit with a fortify there.
Certainly is. 1-1. Pretty quiet game thus far during this laning stage. The side lanes planning a kill each, but yeah, nothing to write home about. CS-wise, though, somewhat in the lead. Like, Lyle's had a very good laning stage on the Quap. Has a free Noob just maintain his position. In fact, Lyle's almost 2 levels ahead of Noob. He's almost level 6 now on the Quap. Will mean you might see a much earlier rotation from the Queen of Pain. And for Noob, this really does hurt, because level 5 is usually the time we see Primal Beast starting to move across the map. But as you can see, at this stage, just because of the XP disadvantage he has, he can't stay in the lane anymore.
Yeah, it's all down to that fortify play. You know, just hang around at camp, losing too much HP, TPing into your mid-tier 1, looking for more. You play that really greedily, and was punished nicely by Spirit. That sets some good tempo. Once this Quap hits 6, which Laurel is now, he can line up for a quick rotation. If he gets lucky with a power rune, something like a haste or invis, a good ambush could be set up here.
It could be. Couple rotations coming in from the side lanes to try and secure the power runes. Omar's going to move in as well, but Lyle looks to at least... No, he gets unlucky. It's going to be down bottom lane instead, but Mirror's already just secured it. I say unlucky, but he has great supports who are in position every time. Problem is, Collapse is going to get caught out. Bottom lane on the Mars. They know he's alone. Good presence of mind from Quest. Noob knows he's not going to get the power rune, so instead he makes the bottom rotation. Gets a core kill. The Team Spirit, they will trade Collapse for that power rune. We'll see what Lyle can make happen with the double damage.
Omar is still hanging around the area. Miposhka's hanging in the back. Might have been spotted by the ward, but doesn't seem like it.
Noob's coming back in. He's still only level 5, but he'll go for an onslaught right in for the Queen of Pain. Lol, he'll get the Sonic Wave, but is it going to cost his life? Oh, it is. That's a big loss. Meanwhile, Carry does go down bottom lane along with Mira. Maposhka still being chased by Noob, probably has no way out. Pulverize will be there. Maposhka trying his best, but it's not going to be enough. Props to Noob. That's a big couple of pickoffs for the Primal Beast. And that was your double damage usage on our Quap that only led to a Rubico. It's not very good.
No, not the ideal coming out here for Team Spirit. The fact that Laurel Sonic Wave doesn't clip the Primal Beast for a little bit of a pushback to get some spacing also just meant there was no real openings for Laurel to wait out for the blink. Just diving really far for the Rubik. Great pickoffs across the map for Noob, compensating for that early greedy play in the jungle and finally securing themselves a pretty solid start coming out here on Quest. 5-3, 1k lead coming out for Quest. Not the biggest in the world, but they've gotten a lot of free room for Malik to manage the 1v1 lane up top. Tidehunter has the full Meteor Hammer, so even if you're not finding kill, you've got solo tower pressure just with his item build-up on Malik. And he's got the Ravage to threaten with as well if a teamfight can break out. Meanwhile, in comparison, like, Collapse, he's not getting as much. Phase Boot's up, Soul Ring not too far off. Arena's about to be up. That could be one launching point here for Team Spirit as they clump up.
We'll see if they do. But now they're going to take it easy, but the rotations aren't coming. Again, down to the bottom lane, sees Collapse. This would be a prime target to go. Is around the corner with Disruption to try and save, and he will do so. Yatoro even rotates, gets the Rupture onto the Primal. Noob's still going to onslaught TP away, might just make it in time as they've got no stun. They cannot stun him up. Noob will make it out. That's a what, a four hero rotation down to the bottom lane that amounts to nothing for Team Spirit.
Just dragging down Yatoro means they lose their top. Malik gets all the space he needs to play with that Meteor Hammer. They go for the arena
down
onto Kaori.
Try, Kaori goes down, but TA2000 gonna move in onto the Mars, should have his way with him. He'll run up quite a lot, is not gonna find the kill. Drops to Collapse, he plays on the edge, but he makes it.
Yeah, they finally get something with that arena that they've been waiting for. Mira.
Moving in. Just fine for now. Take it out.
Omar was looking for the cliff. A little bit too far out for that cliff up. But it's just buying space out. TA2000's rushing into the Ags. Already has the one Alacrity Blade of Alacrity up. And once the Ags is up, that illusion spam is going to be pretty overwhelming for the side of Team Spirit. It's going to make it harder to manage these team fights. The damage bouncing around is going to be significant. And you've got really good front line anyway to cover your bases here for the PL to play this back line. It's just going to stand back while both the Tide and the Primal Beast take point. And no one's answering Malik. Like, this Tide, sure, he's been AFK up top. He hasn't used Ravage, but he's getting a ton of space out, farming for himself, and just applying pressure. That tier 2 already taking some decent chip damage out with a Meteor Hammer here.
Certainly is. The Tide Meteor Hammer always going to feel really annoying to play against. Malik just doing a fantastic job of just remaining at this top lane and applying that pressure. Yatoro, I mean, he won't mind the creep wave constantly coming in because he's getting a lot of farm himself, but he kind of needs the farm right now. 3.9k net worth is not overly impressive on a Bloodseeker, to say the least. Chase onto Malik, goes for a Rupture. Malik's going to be fine to TP away. He literally just stands his ground. I'm not sure what the Rupture was about. Yatoro may be expecting a rotation, doesn't get one, but I suppose he's not going to want to fight anyway, so it's whatever. 60-second cooldown, he'll be fine.
And just wants a little bit more room to CS in the wave. Malik's been doing just too much with the level 4 Anchor Smash. And melee match for Tides feel good. No relief coming out here for Yatoro as everyone else is just trying to get some stacks up. They do have decent stacks being built up by Mir, although not the biggest amount we've seen from Shadow Demon as they commit onto Malik now.
They do. I mean, this is where you may have wanted the Rupture because Malik's going to turn around with the Ravage into the Meteor Hammer, going back in after Mirror. Giga Chat move from Malik. They're going to save with the Disruption into the Sonic Wave. They'll get Malik down. But in the mid lane, they've lost Maposhka. They're currently losing their mid-tier 1 tower. They'll need to get in and address that. Looks like it is going to be fine to be defended as Harry does lose his creep. And Malik just No cares in the world, just pops the Ravage, says, come at me, bruh. And almost took one down with him, but not quite.
Takes so many heroes to come up top just to deal with that Tide solo pushing. It's a ton of space. You could argue the Team Spirit's getting the same space out for Collapse to get some recovery farm, for you to start trying to play that jungle, getting some stacks up on the triangle here. But you do worry about how much is given to TA 2000 early. Again, this Ags isn't too far off now, only 2 parts away. And all of Quest is just running around the map, causing havoc. Starting to group up mid now with Malik showing up with that Nature Hammer. Want that objective gone. With its Sonic Wave down for a little bit longer, a teamfight is not the comfiest, but they have Arena from Collapse if he can land it.
T1 mid tower though, still dropping. In come the TPs. Arena, oh, the speed. Bit off the mark on Malik. Malik tanking through the damage output is going to get ruptured up. Still just tanking through. Goes for a Meteor Hammer. Malik, his job is not done until that tier 1 tower goes. He actually got it off in time, but the glyph was forced to ensure that it took no damage. At least you do kill the Tide again, but it's costing you 5 heroes every time to make that happen. Now
Just so
Lal.
much space.
Oh, Lal. Overeyes is out. Can they get the onslaught to follow up? They won't need it. Omar had the spear. That is a perfect setup from Omar. Malik will hand over the tip, and that tier 1 mid tower, it may just be as good as dead now. Mira gonna try for a deny, actually gets it.
Has been denied.
Nevertheless, tier 1 mid tower going down, it's a pretty big loss for Team Spirit.
Yeah, it's huge. That means Triangle's more exposed to rotations. They scout out the stacks now. Noob can just go clear it out with a Blade Mail.
Dino Dance. There we go. He's Dino dancing all over the Dire Triangle right now, John. We'll leave eventually. Collapse will say thank you very much for the assistance, sir. He'll take the farm for himself. In the end, they do not get the ancient stacks that were made. They only help Collapse take them. But to be fair, it looks like Lal wanted them in the first place anyway. Collapse just taking it as an excuse to take all this farm for himself. So Lal will jump in and take some at the last minute. It's all buying time for Yatoro to farm up. My only issue is Yatoro is still very far behind, and when you compare the matchup against the PO, it just doesn't seem like the best.
It's not the smoothest. It's certainly not that straightforward for the Bloodseeker here. You will be looking for really your Ags to kind of have that presence. He is just going for the BKB into the Mjolnir right after the Maelstrom. So wants some frontline protection, wants the static to kind of deal with the illusion spam. But it's not as simple as, say, the Radiance. To be fair, I don't think the Radiance would have allowed him to farm as much here for Yatoro. So the typical build-up does make sense. You do have some big item spikes coming out here for Spirit. The Blink is up for Collapse. It's going to be easier to nail multiple heroes in that arena. Going for the BKB next on Collapse after that Blink. But the space for Quest is massive. I mean, Noob is #1 in net worth on a Primal Beast. Going for the BKB now after that. I mean, he's been farming really efficiently. They've been using the space that Malik creates quite nicely. That is stalling out Malik's own timing, though.
It's the start that gets me, John. Like, the start of the laning stage was just so bad. As Noob, right on the edge, hits the onslaught. Whew, that was close. Noob and Omar, the new tag team in Dota 2, apparently. These guys just making so much work happen across the map. And I think what really impresses me is how bad the lane went for Noob. The fact that he's top of the net worth, even though he's had that bad of a laning stage. At one stage, he was 2 levels behind the Quap. He was just farming jungle. And now he's top of the net worth board.
I don't think the lane actually went too bad outside of that move. When he started to pull that creep wave into the camp, that's where things went southbound. But before that, he was equal with the Quap. I think you expected a lot more coming out from Laurel, but he didn't want to go for the Shadow Strike build, expecting some early levels in Uproar. You know, you get free ticks, you get a lot of damage when you trample, but Noob just stuck to his usual Onslaught trample build. You know, he didn't get a single point in Uproar until this point in the game.
Peeks around on Omar. Omar in a good position, though. Does break the smoke. In fact, he's fighting back. He's bought some time for his team to get over there. They'll get Omar down, and that'll be about it. Arena down? Never mind, it's not about it. Cowrie is going to get caught. The Spear is there, locking him in the arena, but Cowrie's still perfectly healthy. Will continue fighting. He's now Collapse. He's the big victim. He's being chased down by TA 2000 as Noob does get Maposhka. Now the Ravage comes in. Collapse will go down as a second. And Team Spirit, they just had no gameplay. You might see the Rubik go down getting caught like that as a bad play, but it was perfect. Like, he was in the right position to protect his PL. And then they just move in and take 2 kills anyway.
And really, curious as to what went through Team Spirit's mindset there. Going for the solo arena onto Kaori. It's not an easy target to burst down. She has enough HP to cop through the initial magic damage. If you're not committing your quap in that jump, you're just not going to get the burst. And that just leads to the opportunities for these drawn-out fights where you can start spamming those Spirit Lances on TA2000. And this Ags rush does pay off and you take these fights a lot longer.
Yatoro, he's been scanned out, John. A die triangle. He does have the help, though. Collapses around to break the smoke and does do so. Onto Omar, seeing the Rubik. Will go in. Get some damage off. Yatoro around with Maposhka, thinking about going for a rupture on Omar, doesn't do so yet. Noob is still sticking around, does go for the pulverize eventually, but the global silence going to ensure he cannot continue. So now Mirror does move in. Noob, he's got the BKB TP, he's fine. Instead, Omar's the one to eventually get caught, and will go down. But that's a 5-hero rotation to get that Rubik kill. I suppose it is buying Yatoro space, though, to be fair.
That it is, and you force out the 9-second BKB of Noob very early on, not in the way he'd want to utilize that debuff immunity. So it's a nice win for Team Spirit. Not the biggest kill, but you are wasting some utility here on the side of Quest. You're stalling out to allow this Bloodseeker to at least have the BKB up and running, and force it a little bit of an issue for Quest and Control in that Noob is going to have to try to look for really good pulverized targets, and it's difficult when Global Silence is up. Still, Yatoro?
Yeah, getting caught out. Yatoro, he's the big one. Onslaught through into the blood right, but he's dino dancing. He couldn't care about the silence. Just dance, he says. Noob. Noob now on a monster kill streak. 8-0-0 on the Primal Beast, Jonathan. Having a fantastic game as mid lane Collapse trying to chase Kaori. Will not be able to catch it. Kaori's fine. They are going to try and at least go after this tier 1 mid tower. Kaori just pulling the creep wave away, not allowing it. That's just going to be so frustrating. Like, this Ench can just do whatever the hell he wants. And it's not worth committing for this kill. It's just too risky while the tier 1 mid tower's there.
Just so hard to burst. Again, you're not going to be looking to run her down with right clicks. You're going to need full commitment from your quap. Laurel wants bigger targets than that.
Lol. That was a little bit scary because Noob, had he had the pulverize, I think would have jumped in for that. Luckily for him, it was on cooldown.
Yeah, just a little bit frisky. Might be able to spot out Kaori now. Still not enough.
They had a bit of vision on the high ground, but it doesn't seem to really matter. It's just an Ench, that's the thing. Like, they missed the God's Rebuke now. They'll land the Spear in the end at least. Collapse gonna get him in the end. Noob moves in, pulverizes out. Yatoro the big target, but the silence was there. Malik, he's got the Ravage, but no blink. Collapse, he's gonna jump in for a 3-man arena, but there's your Ravage zoning everyone out. It hits 4 people, but they still haven't got a kill. Collapse is fine for now. Team Spirit, they're going to try and move in and help out. Lyle forced the blink away. Yatoro, he'll continue moving forward with the BKB, but he's dropping really low on HP. He needs to get out of there. He's too damn low. He's gone. The creeps take him out. Mirror down to boot. Meanwhile, Noob, going after another, is going to find the silencer. The Invis rune will not save his life. Sick. Oh, West. Yatoro died to the creep wave at the end. That's just so sad.
Nothing lines up for Team Spirit. Quest, the response is just too strong. The arena looks good. The instant lift back from Omar, cutting off the combination with the spear. The fact that you got the Ravage Meteor Hammer off to cut off Collapse a little bit longer, forcing a rush up the ramp to try and save. Get some positioning there. You had a good flank coming in here from Laurel. That Sonic Wave from the high ground. If they managed to connect more spells, might have been able to find themselves those kills. But again, Quest, their response, the way they execute as a team it's way too on point. Like, the individual plays they're doing together is just massive. Omar's been shining. Man, just that little lift back right before the spear can connect made it so awkward for Collapse to find any follow-through control. And that meant the Global Silence was just forced out in a position you probably didn't want to. You wanted to be a little bit more disruptive with it. And they just don't manage to nail their kill. 7k lead for Quest coming out. Still no deaths coming out here for Noob. Still the freest farm game we've seen for TA2000. He's going to have the Manta up. But at that point, the PL's not going to care for Global Silence or any of your control, outside of perhaps a Rupture if you can land it on the real PL. That's easier said than done.
Big smoke out. 4-man smoke running right towards the bottom lane. Malik knows they're there. He just scouted out Yatoro and Maposhka. So they know the whole team's around. This could be a huge team fight for Quest. They make the jump in. They've already found the Quap. Lyle's in huge trouble. Spear does land, but Mira is there to save with the disruption. Still TA2000 already making the gap happen. Onto Mira. He's going to be fine to TP away, but Lyle's the big problem. Lyle gets cut off by TA2000 and just gets taken down. Omar to take the kill. It's just... You lost your mid-quap again. Like, this is just not a great feeling.
Certainly not. Yator is forced to defensively use his Rupture just to cut off Malik from finding anything else. And that's just Roche open for the side of Quest. They run in, they know without the Quap taking this fight is very difficult. Collapse is not in position to try and head down there as well. Not the quickest Roche in the world, but they've got the time here on the side of Quest. Team Spirit not clumping around, and Noob's just making his presence known elsewhere. You might think that Roche isn't even happening right now. No vision here in Team Spirit. And Quest, and it's been such a smooth game for them. Sure, you were sacrificing Malik, but it's a sacrifice well worthwhile. They knew what he was doing on the Tide. They maximized that space, and the investment is starting to come through all the cores. Quest on top in net worth. And the catch-up for Laurel. It's still going to take more time for this Bloodseeker to start to dish some damage. Like, once the Ags is up, you start to feel better with the Ags Mjolnir, but even then, it's so difficult to pin this all onto that one Bloodseeker trying to run around here.
Maybe they can find Noob top lane. Like, he's alone right now. Problem is, he still holds the tier 1 tower. Like, this is how Quest are winning this game quite easily. Like, this top and tier 1 mid tower that they've still got just held. This means that you can't force in the creep waves by Team Spirit, and they're just not able to take map control. It's just so annoying. Like, you see Noob alone at the top lane with a 902 streak, but you can't jump him because they could get to that T1 tower at any moment.
They've still got the map control on Quest Team Spirit. And their lineup...
Wow. Wow, he's going to blink to the south. Instead of going north, he goes south. I don't know about this one, Lal. He's going to blink again. The chase is on, and it looks like it's going to be enough. They didn't have the follow-up stun. Lal, for now, is fine. However, Omar, of all people, is chasing him down. It looks like he's going to give up. They'll go after the tier 2 bottom tower instead. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Mira will just go down to Noob, who picks up his 10th kill of the game now on the Primal Beast. And even finds a nice arcane rune for himself. Why the hell not?
Radiant's top tower.
Oh, they split out
Everything's
Lal.
slain.
He's underneath vision. They know he's there. Tier 3 towers being forced in the meantime. Are they going to try and cancel Lal's TP so he can't defend? Oh, they may, but the ward wears off in time. If that ward lasted 5 more seconds, that would have been a disaster for Team Spirit.
Still not enough to stop TA2000 though. Again, the illusion spam with the early Ags. With the Deso up, with the Aegis up. TA2000 is more than confident to just take this by himself.
That he is. Tier 3 tower gone for free. Spirit, I mean, Collapse is already out of mana. Just look at the HP. It's already so damn low. He can't do nothing.
Structures are fortified.
They'll go for the bottom racks for free right now. Nobody's contesting them. It's very hard to imagine a real contest here between Spirit and Quest with the way this game's gone. Like, how do you take this PL out twice is the real question. They're going to jump in. There's your lift up from Omar. Right into the silencer. Maposhka is down, but he does have buyback. And coming for the global silence again if he needs. Range Rax is gone. Best back in onto the melee barracks now. Nothing to stop them. The freest racks of their life thus far as TA2000 just continues. They are trying to just deal with the illusions at the moment. TA, he can go for a bit of a reset if he wants, if he doesn't want to sacrifice the Aegis. Looks like he will try and do so for a little bit. But they are going back for the melee barracks. They are not giving up. No need to. It's gone now.
You see Yatoro.
Uh-oh, Yatoro, he gets pulverized up. Global Silence will save his life for now. TA2000 trying to close the gap. Yatoro is going to be okay, but Noob, he's blinked forward, trying to find the Bloodseeker, but will miss out. Yatoro, he cannot afford to die right now, John. He's about 700 gold away from having buyback available, but Collapse has jumped in early. Malik, he's got the Ravage, but he may not have the chance to pop it off. There you go, Spirit, they've got one down, but now Lal's in danger. Blinking in very aggressively. He'll get lifted up. He has another blink available, but the charge is NTA 2000. He wants to keep going for more. Now the Pulverize. They found Collapse with that, but it will be cancelled off immediately. As Team Spirit somehow get everyone else out of there. Quest, had you had the Ravage for that fight, you would have been laughing, but they do not have it. Malik going down allows Team Spirit the high ground defense. The game will continue.
You're hanging on Team Spirit. You've done a great job of just cutting off, making this really difficult for you to look for big pulverizes, holding on to that Total Silence, holding on to the Blood Right, just to stop that one-man control here.
Pulverize on a Mirror. They want the Shadow Demon dead. Mirror gonna survive. He will back off. Collapse, though, in big danger. Already half his HP gone. They'll just jump right in with the onslaught. Collapse still trying to run, but the Lancers will follow him down. He does have buyback. They will not commit it, obviously. They've got the backdoor protection for now. Some decent high ground defense as well with the Aghanim Scepter of Lal. It's constantly forcing this creep wave back, but now the lift back up on Lal. Not gonna matter because there's no to it. Malik, oh, that's a big Ravage. He found 3 targets with that. Lal, he'll be able to blink out in time, but Mirror will not be so lucky. At least you get the Quap out. That status resist from the Kaya Sandra was more than enough, as now Yatoro goes for a Rupture. Who was it even on? The A2000 it was. So he stops the PO from charging in. It's not too big of a deal yet, as now the onslaught into the Pulverize from Nerve, and Lal's been silenced up. Oh boy. The Blood Right stolen from Omar, not allowing Lal to get out of there. He's got no BKB available, so he couldn't purge it off.
This is getting oppressive. Let's keep it, you all. We'll try.
They're going to jump in. Collapse is going to try one last time with the arena down into the Blood Right, but nobody's dying yet. Nobody's taking too much damage. Yatoro, at least maybe he finds Kaori. Kaori trying for the Force Knife will not make it out. In comes Noob, though, with the onslaught. He did not connect. The Spirit, they might be able to keep this up. A spear back into the tier 4 towers. Noob, he is yet to die this game. Maybe this will be the first one, but it doesn't seem like it. He's still just tanking through all the damage. How can they kill this guy? He's got his BKB. He'll just TP away. Collapse, still trying for some spearbacks, but can't find him.
You have to appreciate how hard Team Spirit's making this high ground. They have managed to hold on to their mid-racks, only losing the tier 3. It does cost them a buyback, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. They're holding on. They have some scale potential. The big thing that's been enabling Team Spirit in these engagements is, honestly, it's been Disseminate from Mera. If you can land that Disseminate on the PL, the damage back with all the AoE you have is massive. It's just spotting real PL is easier said than done. Like when you were holding bot, you lost half your HP here for TA 2000 on that Disseminate, if he doesn't manage to dispel it off. So you have some tools on hand with all the AoE you have on Team Spirit, but the execution's getting a lot tougher. Now Quest are losing 1 or 2 heroes, but they're still more than confident to force an issue on the 4v5, try to see how far they can really push themselves here. They're about to hit the refresh on Noob. Just having that Pulverize, double BKB usage in the middle of these fights, it's going to be massive for Noob to just get that single target control they'd want on something slippery like the Quap or the Bloodseeker, and just clean up from there. And Team Spirit, I mean, they're hanging on, but they can't really make moves across the map. You know, it's still trying to catch up, trying to build up for Yatoro. He's almost got the Axe at the very least here on the Bloodseeker. He'll have the barrier up. He'll have more AoE damage to tie into that Disseminate.
Big smoke out. Quest moving his 3 down to the bottom lane. They're going to see Lal, the telekinesis. It's going to hold him down perfectly, but Lal still blinks away. Noob trying to rush towards him with the onslaught, but no, it's cancelled. It's cancelled off. Instead, they'll go after Kaori down at the bottom lane. Kaori does drop. Spirit, they'll get away with something, and they will lose nothing for their trouble. In fact, that's enough gold now that you have the Ags up on your Yatoro.
And this is massive. Just having that barrier to help Yatoro in the middle, having some way of healing back and holding on up front, having more AoE damage to play with, a good Disseminate coming out here, it's going to be huge. You just need to be able to get that Disseminate off on the right target, get some good damage onto the illusions, onto literally any enemies around you. And that reflect back is huge. It's a lot of pressure on Mira to try to get these saves and these offensive uses of the Disseminate, but they've got the tools on hand, Spirit.
Big smoke out. They want to try and abuse the Blood Mist. Keep in mind, there is a Heart of Tarask on this PL now. But the Blood Mist may not care for that. It is HB-based damage. Look at this, though. On the high ground, the Twin Gates, they are just casually waiting for Malik to initiate. A nice bait coming in from Carry, and now the Ravage landing on 3 targets. Yatoro, he gets the BKB. He's going to try and fight through, but it's not looking good for him. He'll heal up once. Can he keep healing through it? The Pulverize, it's too much. Yatoro is gone. Collapse is gone to boot. Lal forced to just link out of there, but it's not going to be enough. Omar's got him. TA2000 on a triple kill. What a perfect bait by Cowrie. You love to see it. Zmira will drop to boot. 4 heroes down. Roshan completely open from Quest. That's teamwork right there. Cowrie had the trust in his team, John, and he did not even die through this.
Oh, it's too durable. On an inch, too mobile. And the initiation angles for Spirit, again, it's challenging. It's not the easiest thing to try to pull off to get the control on so many key heroes, so many dispels on hand, but how durable you have on the Tide and the Primal Beast, and even TA2000 with a heart. None of these frontliners are that easy to burst down. None of the backlines easy to reach into.
Mid lane, Noob's just going in by himself. He found the final piece of the puzzle, and that's Maposhka. That's a full team wipe. Malik will hand the tip over to Noob. Roshan does go the way of the Radiant Quest as TA2000 will pick up the Aegis and Cheese for himself. Was having a couple issues there with all the illusions. Eventually gets it though.
Nah, he had to drop an item. He gave Cowrie his Helm of Fire. Front slot's not being used. It's all fine.
Another heart too. Look at this, John. Noob. 4.7k HP
That
pulled
is
out
so
the Primal.
painful.
Wonka.
It's so much damage. Imagine if we reached the 60-minute mark. Primal Beast with Giants Ring is fun. Not gonna happen. Doesn't look like this game, but if it did, Mike, it is fun.
The curse, Jonathan. There you go. Midrax now under siege. TA2000 gonna get started. The PL's the least of your worries right now. Like, the Primal Beast is the much bigger target. He's 12-0-9. He's had so much impact this game. Like, who do you even aim? That's the point. Like, you aim Noob, but Malik jumps in with a Ravage. TA2000 backs him up. It just feels like Noob has to die. As Lal, speaking of dying, getting very low, will be okay, but TA2000 just casually jumping in, almost leading Mirror. With the illusions themselves, taking out half his HP. Team Spirit, trying to deal with just the illusions of the PL. Yatoro building up the shield he's got with the Blood Mist. If they get a nice spear off, maybe they can deal with him this time. TA2000 dropping low, but in comes the cavalry, eventually moving in as Mirror has already gone down. TA2000 still not dying, resetting now, moving back on a Collapse. He's got one down. At least they do find the Aegis, but the Ravage is out from Malik, locking down 3 of them as Collapse in the middle of nowhere. Mirror, Yatoro, he's been left behind. You get Collapse out, but Yatoro gets taken down. No buyback available. And Lal is still being chased.
Oh my god.
From a mile away. Cowrie takes him out. He bought back and lost half his HP. The impetus was still flying towards him. Goodness me.
And at least they got that kill on Noob.
I guess so. Happy days. On a Collapse they go. Collapse. Will drop, it seems. He cannot get away from the nullifier. Meanwhile, TA2000. Oh, never mind, they call it GG. West Esports, a dominant game number 1 for them as Team Spirit. I mean, they tried their absolute best to, John, but I'll tell you, it just wasn't really a contest for Quest.
No, certainly not. Like, Quest were on point with their movement, on point with the space creation coming out from Malik, and the execution was just so clean, right? Like, even that last fight for Noob, where he died, he was like a millisecond away from popping Cheese from the backpack. Like, he might have not died there at all if he just swapped in a little bit earlier. Like, the individual plays coming out from Quest again is just spectacular. And their team play is just insane. They know how to use this space each one of them creates. They know what to expect from each other in the middle of these team fights. Like the connections and the spells, Pulverize into Spear in this example. So in sync. Every single one of Quest is just so in sync with each other. And it's just so impressive. Team Spirit's not an easy team to beat down. And this is a team that has managed to tie Gaming Gladiators and EG one of the top teams in their groups right now. So this kind of start for Quest looking good. Mind you, again, there is a good chance that Team Spirit rallies for Game 2, but from what we've seen in Quest in Game 1, it didn't even look too close here.
No, it certainly didn't. Quest, definitely a favorite, I feel like, going into the Riyadh Masters. Not so much a favorite in terms of their actual probability of winning, but more of a dark horse or an underdog kind of favorite. Is you're seeing a big ravage from Malik, who's been fitting very well with the team, I must say, as well. Props to Malik coming in last second after the contract debacle. So here we go. There was that big bait from Cowrie into the 3-man ravage of Malik, just setting up perfectly against Team Spirit, who still managed to find Malik, but it doesn't matter if you lose your Toro and Lal and Collapse for that matter. Just everyone going down. Just great chemistry, great coordination from Quest Esports. And just trusting his team to be able to get that ravage off. Cowrie just walks in casually as, well, here we go. What was this, the last team fight? Maybe the second last team fight? They just could not do a TA2000. I think they got the Aegis off him, at the least. Just barely, which was nice. But that was about it. It just, nothing else was happening for them.
Yeah. And they get that kill on Noob. Again, a little bit late with a backpack cheese, but just too late at that point. With Yatora so far forward being picked off in the movement, every single engagement from Quest was just this symphony of coordination. And for a team like Team Spirit, I think they just need to rally for Game 2, shake it off. I don't think they're drafted in too many favors as well, considering the matchups, like this mid Primal Beast coming out with a flex of Quest. And the matchup for the Quap. Again, you said Noob lost out. He wasn't. He was drawing equal on mid until he got greedy into the camp. And that's how he got 2 levels behind, having to TP back to... He TP'd back to mid, walked back to base, then walked back to mid. That gave the 2-level lead, but before he played greedy, he was controlling that lane.
I'm kind of shocked by that as well, because I'm having a look at the post game. Like at 5 minutes, they were only 200 net worth apart, which is a bit surprising, because again, it was Lal in basically a free lane by himself, with 2 supports controlling all the runes. And Noob was on his own the whole time, basically, just doing jungling things. And I give it to him. A fantastic mid-performance here from Noob. I think if there was an MVP, you'd give it to him straight off the bat. Still with that, though, Jonathan, we are going to go to a break. And, of course, right after that break, we're going to have Game 2 between Team Spirit and Quest Esports coming right up. We'll see you very soon.
Progress is a race that has no end. After every finish line, another challenge awaits. How can we continue to push innovation in a sport at the forefront of technology? This is how. Discover how Aramco and the Aston Martin Formula One team aim to meet Formula One's sustainable fuel targets. Aramco, powered by How.
الحياة لحن، ولأننا جزء من مقطوعة عظيمة تحركنا، تلمسنا، تصنع من لحظاتنا ذكريات بديعة. لأن الوجبة، التجربة، المغامرة يعطيك بعد جديد في هيلتون الرياض.
All new Honor Magic 5 Pro. Freeze even fleeting emotions in just milliseconds. Take marvelous night shots with lightning-fast exposure. The display reveals more details in bright areas with an astonishingly long battery life that just keeps going. The latest flagship chipset brings you exceptional performance. Unleash the power of magic. Honor Magic 5 Pro.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Riyadh Masters. Of course, it is MLP Dota and John X5 joining you for this series between Team Spirit and, of course, the side of Quest Esports, and it is MLP Dota and John X5. Jonathan, welcome back, sir. Game 1 going pretty dominantly in the way of Quest Esports, we'd have to argue. Game 2, give us a refresher, Jonathan. What do you need to see changed up here from Spirit to try and force a draw?
I'm not sure if it's really a drafting issue. Perhaps they had no easy way of handling the PL. They did go for the Bloodseeker core and trying to manage Phantom Lancer, but you didn't have an easy way to just pin down and try to whack away at TA2000. He got a lot of space while they were focusing in on Malik as well. So I think target prioritization for Team Spirit has to be on point. And again, they have to prevent some of those illusion heroes from coming out. They did heavily target TA2000 going in with the second phase bans, but they left that PL and opting to ban out something like the Naga instead. So it became a little bit tough to try to manage from a core-to-core perspective. I think beyond that, it's really Quest just having great understanding of how to play together as a team. They knew how to coordinate off the back of Malik getting space. They knew what to expect coming out from Noob, how to follow through, how far they could push themselves for some of those pickoffs. Just really tight coordination with him and Omar in that game. So I think they've got to respect just how far Quest can reach and can kind of pull for these pickoffs. And this is something you could expect Team Spirit to play as well. But again, like the draft probably didn't do them too many favors. I don't think it was really a drafting issue though. So maybe just taking care of some of those things like the PL, which are harder to manage, because their support duo didn't have the best stuns to handle something like the PL. They had the Shadow Demon coming out, which, you know, it's not quite enough. Shadow Demon Silencer to pin down the PL, especially once Manta was up. TA2000 was just free to kind of run around in every single fight.
Certainly was. Certainly was. Props to Quest for pulling off that Game 1 victory. We'll see how the side of Spirit want to try and turn this game, or rather this series, around a little bit and see if they can force a draw here against Quest, because I'm sure that's exactly what they want right now. So we are going to head off into the Game 2 draft right now. Very, very good timing. It's first ban stage, Jonathan. Team Spirit, we'll see if they respect ban the Primal Beast. If anything, I would argue, because he had just a hell of a lot of impact. They are going to get rid of that Malik Darkseer that we've seen over and over again, especially through the play-in stage. So Malik will not have the Darkseer available, though. In props to Malik, like all the Ravages he threw out last game were just brilliant. All of them were just hitting multiple 2, 3, 4-man Ravages constant.
10 seconds.
And he was also hammering in the Meteor Hammer follow-up as well. He was just on point with every single bit that he had to execute on the Tide. So I'm curious to see what kind of changes we see here from Team Spirit, if there is any more adjustments in terms of bans here. We shall see. Quest not straying too far off. Same Batrider ban. Wouldn't be too surprised with the Undying ban. There's the Primal Beast ban. Noob certainly had a very fun game. In fact, again, in his first death, his only death, he probably would have survived if he swapped his cheese in just a little bit earlier. I believe, again, it was just a few seconds away, or if not, a few milliseconds away, as he did die. So, I do appreciate that from Team Spirit, but again, so many options. Like, if the Undying gets banned here by Quest, Broodmother is going to be an option for both sides. Stuff like the Silencer and Shadow Demon, which again, as a duo, probably not the best lockdown for the side of Team Spirit, but individually, it's something that Team Spirit has enjoyed, just having these wide controlling supports. And Quest will opt to ban out the Rubik instead, ensuring no sneaky steals can come out, as Team Spirit does have first pick overall.
Yeah, we'll see. Team Spirit. See what they want. First pick up. You want to prioritize, I believe. Last game around, it was the Silencer first pick that came out from Team Spirit, if I'm not incorrect in saying so. Well, or was it the Shadow Demon? It was either one. I believe it was the Silencer. See if they want to prioritize that again.
Team pick.
They do not.
Ooh.
In fact, it's Lion. Well, but this
Lion.
hero apparently is first pick material now, out of nowhere.
Mike, it is a hater hero.
Yeah.
Here you pick when you want to hate in someone. You know, it's like 3-1-1, the standard laning build. It's pretty annoying to deal with. My favorite is the 2-0-3 if you can get away with no Hex, and this does give Team Spirit more lockdown. Just having Hex on hand, just having your Shard here to help with some illusion heroes from Quest, from TA2000, that certainly does feel a lot better for Team Spirit. Oddly enough, Lion does feel like the successor to Pugna in the mana top-ups, if you were actually looking for that. But I love the response from Quest. Into Undying, into Snapfire. Undying, definitely not a hero that the Lion will enjoy playing up against, although you could argue for the mana drain build here against him, like a 1-0-1, 1-0-2 by level 3. And that's when Undying starts to feel a little bit awkward, but it still isn't really a problem for Undying. You know,
somehow I knew that was coming up.
Yes, of course, it's all about the mana drain. It's all about that. I enjoy. Yeah, there's something about these drain heroes. Pugna, I used to enjoy a lot of, you know, I tell you, the little animation just fills me with joy when you're topping someone up or draining someone down. Lion doesn't have a quirky animation while mana draining, but it still brings me a lot of enjoyment. Like, I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I'll tell you what, John. Like, if they buffed mana drain one last time, I feel like it might be viable.
Oh, good God. It already is viable. That's the thing. If it does get buffed, I'd be a very happy man, but I'd be questioning the balance changes.
You know what gets me?
I would.
They
Yes.
make it so the level 4 mana drain is so value, right? Because it doubles it from 60 mana per second to 120, right? So it's like, it's enticing you. It's telling you, please max me. Because when it's max level, it's ridiculous how much mana he drains.
Yes.
But the problem is, it still doesn't feel like enough. Like, even with the slow on top, it just doesn't feel good enough to max it. So what if you made it so mana drain, if you do drain all their mana, they get stunned? Like an Earth Spike just flies out and stuns them. How good would that be? You're telling me that would be amazing?
No, not Earth Spike style. You know, old Kotl with a mana leak. That
Right.
kind of stun. That would
Right.
be oppressive. I think that, you know what, I like it, Mike. Thank you. You're making
You're
line
welcome.
more broken. I would have fun with that.
I don't know if I want to say... I don't know if it'd be broken, John. It might just be viable at this stage.
It is viable. What do you mean? We've seen so many lions. How can you keep denying it? It's more viable than your Earth Spirit right now, Mike.
Is it good?
Suck
though?
on that.
Is
It
good?
is. It's decent. It's situational. I can't say it's good in every game. I'll be frank. But it is very situational. In this case, it's again, it's kind of all right. Undying still has a pretty good level 1, level 2. So you should still have a good lane. Quest can also flex their Snapfire. And they could still run it as support. They could run it as mid for noob. I like the response from Team Spirit to go into the Timbersaw, something more up-tempo here. They could give that to Laurel, could give it to Collapse either way. Probably leaning into Collapse a little bit more. As mid-Timba up against potentially mid-Snap does not sound like the most fun. We have seen that end up in the Snap's favor a couple of times now. And more core bans from Team Spirit. Quest banning out a lot of mids, and will take the Mirana. Again, just limiting Laurel's hero pool, taking care of the puck we were talking about the last game that was not picked up, although was banned by Team Spirit instead. And with the Mirana out, this should hammer in our Snapfire as that mid. It should just be a straightforward noob lane. The support duo of Mirana Undying, it's a little bit awkward in that your control isn't too hard. You know, you don't have a hard stun here. You don't have the easiest time to set up for the arrows, just with a Snapfire. Like, Cookie's there, but again, not the most reliable way to follow through with an arrow. So there is a lot of play here in terms of mobility for Team Spirit, in terms of having this Timbersaw zip in and out of fights, but the magic damage is quite significant from Quest anyway, so it might not be an issue overall.
I pick the Spirit. I'll have a think about this one. One of those games where you wouldn't have minded picking a POS 4 Rubik here for Spirit, but it was banned in the first phase, sadly, by Quest. I have a bit of a heavier think here from Team Spirit's end of things. Well, what other supports are we looking at? But potentially, like with the Lion combo, I imagine you want to see a position 4 Lion, but it is a bit of a mixed bag as to where we see this hero popping up.
A Lion Timbersaw lane wouldn't be too bad for Team Spirit. Collapse can play off the back of that Earth Spike stun quite nicely. And again, just suppress Cowries Undying with a mana drain, so can be manageable.
Wow,
I don't think you're looking... They really are. That's all for reserve time. They will go for the Bloodseeker. I think it's somewhat fair in this game. It would have fit in for Quest themselves if they allowed it through. Just pick this up for Yatoro once more. It does leave a lot of illusion heroes still in the pool. You know, Naga's not banned, so you could easily go for Naga. Again, you might be feeling more confident with Lion and Timbersaw to take care of the illusion spam, but something like the PL just has way too many illusions for a Lion to manage, and eventually gets durable enough that you don't really care for the Timb. They go with Pango as well. More illusion clear from Team Spirit, locking in that Laurel mid very early on. Maybe a little bit of flex with Collapse, but it should just be our Laurel Pango mid. Pango versus Snap is manageable for Pango. It's not as bad as other melee matchups. Shield Crash, Harass. You can kind of go away with your Swash as well. So it shouldn't be too oppressive from Noob, but I'd expect the Snap to still have a slightly easier time in the matchup. I'm wondering though, like with all the illusion clear coming out from Team Spirit, Quest might not be the comfiest in going for like a PL or a Naga. They're probably just looking at a hard pick here for Malik first anyway. They still have options like the Tide. Tide into Bloodseeker lane again. Could opt for that.
They could.
Team Spirits turn to battle.
They will not, though. They're going to go down the Mars route themselves. So this hero obviously making a bit of a reappearance as of late. Let's get picked up. Does do pretty well against the Bloodseeker lane, right? You just any lane that wants to just rush you, the Mars is generally pretty damn good because you can block so much damage off, and obviously the spear back of the Bloodseeker is going to be very effective. I mean, the Mars Mirana lane are obviously pretty strong as well. Like, if you can land a spear into an arrow, it's just a guaranteed kill. Team Spirit now obviously focus on the position 1 banouts to come. They'll get rid of the TA-2000 Jug. I don't think it'd be the worst, like, Terrorblade game either. If you want to just get rid of TB or just a hard carry like that, then mind you, again, you kind of already said you have the mana drain for illusions. So maybe not. I want to say heroes like Slark might fit for Quest Esports, but it can be a little bit awkward against Timbersaw once the levels do come up. Because level 6 on Timber is pretty hard to play against the Slark.
Yeah. And a Bloodseeker as well. Just, you're not going to be able to re-entry to re-engage. There's an Ursa pick that could work here. Laning into Timbersaw is fine. Something that TA-2000s run quite a fair bit. The illusion heroes are still on hand. I don't think a TA fits too well here for TA-2000, unfortunately. And they're just focusing on some support pickups here. Shadow Demon Lichgon would have been pretty oppressive to have to deal with a Bloodseeker or a Timbersaw with Frost Shield up. And the disruption saves were pretty impactful when they do come out, so I appreciate the respect coming out from Quest. Team Spirit, looking for a support. More than likely are a Maposhka hero. It doesn't feel like they lack too much. You're probably just looking for a way to enable your Bloodseeker in lane. Maybe a little bit more teamfight control if you felt the need for it. In comparison, Arena Kisses is pretty oppressive from Quest along with good tombstone placement. We'll go with the Oracle, which ties in pretty nicely with a Bloodseeker and a Timbersaw. They both enjoy that secondary life being given to them. Bloodseeker more than likely lives through a lot of usage of that False Promise as well, as long as the kill comes out. So, pretty safe bet for Team Spirit. Another big save for them to have on hand. Just dispelling off the control from Mirana and Mars is also pretty nice here. Mind you, the one thing Team Spirit lacks is easy clear for Tombstone. So a good high ground Tombstone here from Kaori can be, again, pretty tough to deal with Arena, with Kisses coming out. So there's still some big combinations from Quest. Just need to tie it up with something.
I mean, you've got Undying. You could also just run like a Drow Undying safe lane. Doesn't sound the worst in this kind of game. Yeah, you do have a bit of catch with the Lion Pango, but easier said than done. Like, it does seem like a decent enough Drow game if they wanted to go down that route.
Could be. The lane is not too bad, but it does become a pretty nice whirling chain lane for the Timbersaw for Collapse to play with. The Bloodseeker chases you down the back line, not too bad once the BKB's up. It's a little bit awkward, but it's not the worst. I feel like if you're confident in not being kited around as an Ursa with a BKB, and Ursa still fits in here, you can kind of fight the Bloodseeker pretty well 1v1. As long as you've got your Enrage up. Even the Shard from Bloodseeker doesn't quite do enough, and the Ursa just overwhelms you. But it is also not the most straightforward Ursa game. They'll go with Luna instead. So the Luna makes its reappearance once more. You know, the last time Luna came out, Mike, you weren't a big fan. It won out. Are you a big fan here?
I mean, I guess I kind of am, right? Because before the BKBs do come from Team Spirit, it's going to be kind of hard to run at TA-2000. Like, in the middle of a team fight, if your Toro doesn't have a BKB up, TA-2000 every time is just going to pop Eclipse. And it's like, well, you've got to run now. It's just... I think it is. I think it's fine. I don't think they have the greatest counters towards his hero. I think it should be a pretty decent Luna game. It looks kind of free for TA-2000 so far, though. Every time I say these things, to be fair, Jonathan, they end up happening the opposite way around, so I probably shouldn't say too much. I mean, Noob on the Snapfire as well, he's kind of a specialist with this mid-snap. So I think he's the guy I'm kind of watching again in this game from Quest Esports, because he's the guy that can really just start to pop off.
Yeah, that is true. I think the one concern I have for Quest is their lane. Like, TA-2000 early on, it's weird, because I feel like a Luna, if you do go for the Lucent Beam build, does really good against Timbersaw. But if you go for your Glaives and attack, and your Aura attack, it's a little bit awkward. Your range as a Luna isn't wide enough that you can safely just CS and not worry about whirling that. So, Collapse can always just come in, get some free harass. Mind you, again, it's all down to how well Kaori plays in lane and how well Mira can contest as the line. So it's down to really skill build. Are you going to be going for your typical 3-1-1 here for Mira? Are we going to see something weird with a mana drain that, not too many people go for? I feel like the top lane for Team Spirit's pretty clear cut as well. It's an Oracle Bloodseeker. You've got a natural root into Bloodrite combination. Mind you, trying to deal with a Mars is easier said than done. And the Mirana can be mobile once that leap is up. But it should be a lot more sustainable for Yatoro as long as Miposhka's positioning is on point. And you do have saves. And you've got False Promise, you've got the Fate's Edict to cut off a lot of that early magic damage you're looking for on the Luna anyway. And I'm guessing at some point you just kind of leave Yatoro alone, actually join these fights early with Miposhka to save the Timbersaw front line. So these early engagements can be a little bit more ratty for both sides, and I am curious. I feel like Team Spirit can get some early momentum here if they manage to work their cards right in the lane.
Let's see how it does pan out. Game 2 is officially underway, so we can head over to the game and see exactly how this one's going to pan out. 5-on-5 smoke to get things started. I mean, speaking of that safe lane of Team Spirit, the level 3 timings are extremely strong, I'd argue. Like with the level 2 Purifying Flames, level 2 Bloodrite, or even just the 1-1-1 build if you really wanted to. The level 3 timing, I think in particular, is what's going to be really strong of the safe lane of Team Spirit. I'd probably say a similar thing for Quest, but not as much. Just more so that the Undying's really strong at level 2. I'll see how it all pans out. I mean, I don't think they're too concerned on Quest's end of trying to find kills in that safe lane. Just allow TA2000 the space he wants on the Luna. But all you've got to do is this Undying. Level 2 is still pretty damn strong, though.
Certainly is. Again, it's just down to mana management for Kaori. And whether or not Mira's just going to try to annoy him with the mana drain. And that's where things maybe go a little bit awkward. But as long as you pop your spells and have enough for Tombstone, should be pretty fine for Kaori into that level 2, level 3 mark. Not too much action off the back of that smoke, but they are still clumping up here.
They are. They're going to go for a fight. You don't really want to fight level 1 into an Undying, but to be fair, Kaori has not stolen any strength yet. There you go. He's going to double decay. Big scatter blast now from Noob. They're going to try after Kaori. He is dropping low now. Maybe they can get him. But Kaori, oh, he's gone. Just barely. Miposhka gets the final hit. First Blood will go his way on the Oracle.
Yeah, that does give information of that ward. No one should have had vision for that right click coming out onto Kaori, so they're going to get an easy D-ward down the line, but overall, a pretty nice start coming out from Team Spirit, securing the runes they'd want. Well, securing no runes for the First Blood, but you do get First Blood at least. Not the biggest here to find it on. It's still a launching point, I suppose, with some early farm up. Taking a look at that bot lane, though, you do have, again, Malik on that Mars with Omar on the Mirana. Not the usual time that it's not too common nowadays to see that combination, and the early levels again for a Bloodseeker and an Oracle pretty impressive if you're not careful.
Omar finally skills the leap up just to get away. Really didn't want it at level 1, but does decide better off it than just giving a kill back the way of Miposhka and of course your Toro. Another nice Fortune's End into the Bloodrite. It's a big combination. Again, level 2, level 3 in particular, is going to be where this safe lane duo of Team Spirit feels extremely potent. Level 3 more so, of course, with the level 2 Purifying Flames. So we'll have a look at the side lanes while we can. Up the side lane, Kaori dropping very, very low. Collapse having a great old time so far. Moving in for another Whirling Death and does get the kill. There's one of the things with Undying versus Timbersaw. Is Collapse with that Whirling Death, he does deal a hell of a lot of damage. Especially against a strength core like, or strength support like Undying.
Yeah, you can get ripped apart really early on. Already off to a pretty rough start for Quest. 2 kills going the way of Team Spirit from the lanes. Top lane not going too smooth for TA2000 to just farm up in. But again, this is to be expected with this kind of draft. You still have this level 2 spike for Kaori to play with. But the early kills does mean that you're scaling up a lot slower than the side of Team Spirit would be. Mira can always opt for something like the mana drain if he feels like the additional control is not really worthwhile. Down bot, we're still seeing chase across. And Miposhka can threaten now with his combination, and they've been doing a great job of using that Bloodrite just to zone out. Not the comfiest of times for Malik in this game. Still finding some decent CS, but not really stopping Yator here. The mid lane's been a little bit more back and forth. A lot of harassment coming out onto Noob and Laurel. Laurel managing to keep up against the Snapfire, but Noob is starting to overwhelm. And Snap has an easier time managing the lane as this range core with lots of nuking potential. Still has to respect the output when Laurel does decide to commit with a shield crash, but not going to be major kill threats until we start to approach at level 6 or a rotation early on say the 4 or 6 minute rune here.
Bottom lane, they are still going at it. Slow down just a little bit. Omar and Maposhka were just trading so much harassment. No points in the arrow yet, of course, going for the Starfall level 2. Toro, just free farming on the Bloodseeker, which is very different to what happened last game. Malik, gonna cop another Blood right here with the Fortune's End setup, but they don't have quite enough to try and secure a kill onto Malik. In fact, they heal him up just a little bit with that Purifying Flames. He doesn't actually mind the interaction too much there with Team Spirit. Top lane. And Carry just understands he can't really deal with Collapse at the moment, so just leaves the Timbersaw alone. As long as TA2000's hitting creeps, he'll be happy. Just trying to meet the creep wave in the middle, and Carry's just trying to pull it away. And Collapse will get it, though. Just managed to make the meet, and takes all the creeps for himself. Very, very nice. 2-0 so far. That Quest have kind of resigned themselves to just trying to even out the lanes a little bit, because Team Spirit, at least for now, they're looking like a very different team during this laning stage.
They just have stronger lanes to start with. Better presence out from the supports. Much more trade potential early on. Even Noob down mid is... Again, he's having a good time in terms of CS, but the harassment from Laurel is still consistent. It's not the comfort. So the level 5 is up.
Mid lane.
It's gonna be a faster 6 for Noob as well. Without the roll, once you commit Swash on Laurel, it's gonna feel pretty awkward. And he's forced to walk back to base. No one dying, no TPs for the bottle refill. So it's him this time that has to make that back and forth journey to the base before coming back mid, and that's gonna give that early 6 here.
Yeah, it's a pretty big loss here for our mid lane of Team Spirit. While this is a very different to what happened last game to boot, right? Like, he was ahead in XP by 2 levels at this stage. This time around, he's not so much. He's going to fall behind in XP, and we know with the Snapfire, like, you hit that earlier level 6 timing, it's just so easy to set up a kill for yourself. You just land that cookie, and the kisses will follow. We'll have to watch his back. As bottom lane, speaking of watching himself, Omar getting caught by the Fortune's End will leap out of the Blood Right, but doesn't have any more charges. Yatoro will be able to eventually take him out with the Bloodseeker. That'll be the first kill for Yatoro this game.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Already off the decent start in the Bloodseeker again. Not getting contested too hard by Malik. Having a lot of room to just farm up. And great space creation and great harassment coming out from Maposhka overall. And this early start of the Spirit is starting to ramp up.
They may have been in a spot of danger, but Carry... Okay, at least for now, but Collapse is starting to move in. Still go for the fight as the Undying. Does have the Lotus and some stick charges up, so feeling confident. Meanwhile, middle lane, bit of a group up here from Noob and Omar. Omar, still no points in the arrow though, but has a skill point that hasn't been used yet. So he could go for the arrow if he really wants it. We'll hold out for now. We'll be able to help secure the power rune here for Noob, and that's about all he wanted. Noob immediately off the back of that, he's level 6, he wants to go top lane. See if he can find this Timbersaw. With the kisses up, it's not too hard to get this done, but keep in mind, Collapse does have the level 1 chains up. So it could be a little bit challenging, but he does get the cookie in. Scatterblast will follow. Collapse, he's going to try and chain away, but there's the kisses to come. Noob just patiently waiting for it. And a perfect rotation here from our mid Snapfire.
Recognizing that opportunity elsewhere. Understanding that pinning down Laurel not going to be as easy with a Rolling Thunder, just very close when they were trying to line up.
Yatoro's going to be very careful. Malik has the stick charges and the Lotus if he needs the Spirit of Mars, though now Malik going to cop the Blood Right himself. Be alright to survive, does use those 1 charges in the end. Still could try for Yatoro if he really wants to, but Maposhka is right behind him with the Fate's Edict. Won't be enough anyway. Yatoro just proving to be a little bit too tanky. We'll rush in after Malik. Gonna be okay as Cowrie topside. Trying to go after Mirror. Gets stunned up and does go down. Didn't have the decay in time to try and secure the kill. Nice little attempt there from Cowrie, but doesn't really end up panning up.
Pretty good bait coming out from Mira. Just dragging that Undying all the way back while reinforcements come in. It's a lot of time expended by the cores though for a support kill. And you end up with an even Wisdom Rune trade anyway, with Omar keeping her own here on Quest. Yeah, not the biggest losses for Quest, but some small wins coming out from Spirit early on. The lane's starting to get in favor of Questo. Like, the CS coming out for TA2000 is pretty scary. It's going to be a Luna with some early timings into Bormid Mask. And he hasn't gone into the Glaives, going for a mix with a Lunar Blessing and the Lucent Beam instead.
Mid lane, the arrow setup is there thanks to the cookie, and Lal, he can't get away. Rolling Thunder in time. This game around, Quest rotating supports in constantly, and it does pay off immediately as Lal will go down. Lal stuck at level 6. Noob about to hit level 8 on the snap.
Yeah, this is overwhelming from the mid. Noob already has that full Atos up, has a lot of right-click flying out, has self-setup. Heck, some respectable setup for the arrow to fly through now with Cookie and the Atos. They're stealing the stacks here, and Quest just with Cowrie in the Tombstone.
He can commit the kisses for this if he really wants to, but it doesn't feel like he needs it. Yeah, the Tombstone's going to prove to be more than enough. A lot of gold going their ways. Maposhka will go down at bottom lane. Omar able to take that one, but I think the stacks are just more important. I mean, maybe they can't stick around for the Ancients. I guess there's that. Cowrie, his Tombstone is going to expire. Noob might just stick around, try to get it done anyway. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Omar, gonna see Mirror, but does just leap away towards the bounty rune. Should be able to secure that just fine, as Mirror is still chasing, but not gonna be able to get there. Top lane, Collapse, being hunted by a TA2000. No Eclipse up, but doesn't need it because he's got 2 heroes coming in from the side. Noob does have the kisses up to try and take Collapse down another time. Collapse going right into the corner, gonna try for a TP play out, but TA2000 is gonna see him in time. Collapse still trying to mess around, but the Rod of Atos is there from Noob, and no kisses are even necessary. Just holds out. Into the mid lane he goes, ready to defend the tier 1 mid tower. Again, another rotation from the mid snap, just working perfectly.
And the understanding here from Quest is quite good. The scan was there early to allow a little bit of an escape for Collapse, but he's forced to run up top, and this build from TA2000, going for the Lunar Blessing Max. The vision is pretty good as they go for the kisses.
Mid lane, Lal. Oh, maybe he gets out. It looks like he's gonna. Noob, now the one in danger, has to try and fight back, but he is surely down as he is healing up. He's surviving longer than you would expect, but not long enough. Yatoro even feeling the need to rotate to ensure his mid laner doesn't die another time. They will see Omar. Omar will leave the building eventually.
The stacks are still going.
Oh, but they are. Stacks again being taken. Ancient's getting low. Cowrie about to drop to Collapse, but he is making a run for it. Does turn for another decay on the Ancient stack. It's Cowrie buying even more time for himself. Will finally go down. They actually end up beating quite a bit of gold back the way of Team Spirit. He gets the Tombstone gold on Yatoro, gets the Ancients. I don't know if you call that a win for Quest. It seems like Team Spirit are probably more than happy with that.
That they are. And they had some good wards to protect that high ground anyway. The triangle area was under vision. TA2000 trying to clear out stacks without any glaives was maybe a little bit too optimistic. He has the value point up now. So if they just waited for one more level, they would have had that pretty cleanly, but there's more time for Team Spirit. They're going for the smoke play out. They've got the roll ready on Laurel here.
Lane. Smoke is there. Move in. They've got the Fortune Send. Mars, surely no way out, and he is down. Lal, you're very happy to be a part of that one. Bit of gold to go his way on the Pangolier. Best. Seems like they've seen enough. They'll back out of that bottom lane. No interest in that area anymore. Now, Team Spirit, they are grouped up as 4 down at this bottom side of the map, though, so they could think about infiltrating that dire triangle. Pings were coming out from their end of things, but it seems like they're going to think better of. 12-minute power rune instead is more important as Noob gets caught. Mirror does steal the shield rune away. Arrow's going to connect, but now Noob, he's taking so much damage, and he is gone. Malik unable to help in time. Great kill for Team Spirit. Lal will take that one. A bit of revenge onto the mid Snapfire. And now Spirit, they want to keep going for more. They want that mid tier 1 tower, and they may just have it. Malik sticking around. He's going to get rooted by the Fortune's End, but here comes Quest. They want to try and protect. Tombstone was dropped preemptively, but it is going to force the side of Team Spirit away.
Buys him some time. Still a pretty big kill for Spirit to find onto Noob. That is the one big scaling core that you have to worry about. The Luna, it's much more tempo. And it's really the Snapfire getting off into the travels, into something like a Sanj Kaya early on that can start to feel oppressive, or the Gleipnir. They're targeting the right heroes here on the side of Team Spirit, giving Collapse a lot of space to try to catch up on this Timbersaw as well. And starting to play around with some of these early spikes. Like they do have a lot of output with just line 6 every time fingers off, and they'll just recommit. Quest just back off, and mid's just gone anyway.
That it certainly is. There is a Hex out from Mira. Not gonna amount to much. Mira just messing around here with Kaori. Bottom lane, however. Malik? No, the TP's cancelled.
Radiant are scanning.
No TP coming in to help Malik out. Malik could have thought about setting up maybe with a spear, but didn't have the arena anyway. Been a bit of a tough setup. Spirit moving around. Should have seen Kaori rather warding in that area. Kaori going to go for a run, but they are going to surround the Undying. Could be a very easy pick-off for them, but he does get the Tombstone Flesh Golem in time, so he's actually surviving through all of this. Even the Purifying Flames healing him up, but he's not going to die. Kaori's alright. Collapse? I can't say the same for him top lane. Collapse is in huge danger. Meanwhile, Omar, on the high ground, will finally go down. But they lose the Timber in the off lane. While Kaori is still chasing Maposhka. Will not find him. Now Kaori in a bit of danger, but has all the vision in the world to play with. Will go for a run towards the west of the map. Gets perched up by Lal. Surely can't make it out of this. He does have a TP. We'll see the Fortune's End committed, but it's too late. Does go down to the damage of Lal.
Malik is committed now.
In bottom lane. Port. 4 hero rotating. They don't even need it. The finger will be enough from Mira. No messing around from this line.
Top tower is under attack.
They're starting to ramp up in the punishment here for Team Spirit. It is arguably space being created here for Quest. Ton of room coming out here for TA2000 to scale up on Luna. And some room for Noob as well to start to hit into these power spikes, just rushing into EKB now on that Snapfire. Still ways off until you hit that power spike on the Snap at the level 20. Still got a lot of output with your magic damage, with the kisses, and a well-lined up fight. We just haven't seen that wombo combo yet from Quest. Not until Malik has his blink for some easier arena setups is, I think, the timing we're waiting for the big kisses arena combos. And Team Spirit have been dancing around them up until that point. It's going to take a lot longer for those items to be up, with a BKB being queued up first by Malik.
Bottom lane, and they're looking at the Timber, but it's only Omar and Malik.
Kaori?
Mid lane, he's just going to drop. Kaori getting caught again, drops another Tombstone. Noob is going to be around to try and force a fight. Arrow actually connects on Lal. He never got the Tombstone down. The Tombstone is just still standing there. Lal is getting chased by a billion zombies at the moment. I say a billion, it was 2, John. A bit less than a billion. Nevertheless, I guess you denied the Tombstone gold away. But they do lose their Undying.
Yeah. Just playing a little bit far forward, trying to get some farm and EXP here. Kaori is. It is, again, arguably some space coming out. As you managed to clear out bot with no deny coming out from Collapse. And they could try for the play blink up on Malik.
Arena is also available. They just need a bit of vision. Noob's going to find him. Does go for the Rod of Atos. They may not even need the arena. They just need the kisses with the spear set up and the arrow to follow up just in case. Beautifully played by Quest.
Just
12 to 6, John. I mean, it's buying plenty of time for the Luna to just farm.
That it is. BKB being worked on by TA2000 into the Silver Edge, so nothing too crazy in terms of build-up here. Into the Roche they go. They do have output with a maxed out Lunar Blessing, with an Undying around. Roshan doesn't take too long to melt. Even moves around as well with his own right blood being quite amplified by that Lunar Blessing. And we'll go for the move. Team Spirit, no wards up top, no vision to really sense that play. They are taking control of their bot area once more, but Aegis is going to be massive for them. Yator is around the area. He does have his BKB, but he's not looking to scout, and they might be able to find a nice kill on him first.
Roshan, I mean, they're going to try and get there, it seems. Yatoro, though, not realizing, gets caught out. Top lane, he's down. Now they'll realize Roshan was happening the whole time. Mirror is around the corner on the line. Has the blink up, but just can't really get within range to blink in. Roshan freely being given the way of TA2000. Even with the Bloodseeker kill on top, it just even better now for Quest as they're looking towards Lyle, but they miss the spear. Lyle should be able to Rolling Thunder away, but oh, he doesn't go for it!
Oh, man.
I thought he was mid-animation!
He canceled. I think he didn't expect the movement out from Quest to mass TP for that kill.
Under attack.
Oh.
The Atos comes in. After Roche clears, they expect maybe movement up top, commitment onto the tier 1. So Laurel feels confident, but does get punished for that greed and trying to hold out in the ult usage. And now Quest bounce back. They've got control. They've got the 3k lead. They're scaling in. Yatoro still needs more.
What of Atos out, TA2000, Yatoro, he's BKB'd up, the false promise, it's gonna buy a bit of time, maybe he can just heal through this. They've got the Hex out on TA2000, they could be able to get this done. TA, he'll survive another day, he'll keep the chase on Yatoro, but eventually has to retreat, because Collapse is incoming. The Moonlight is gonna allow them to get out safely though. They'll deal with the Tombstone instead. But Yatoro, he does get the mid-snap fire, does survive through the onslaught, and he'll be very satisfied with that.
It's a pretty big BKB usage coming out from him. First charge, 9 seconds to survive through the entire eclipse coming out from TA2000. And his right-click damage isn't quite enough to tear through something like the Bloodseeker here. Again, that combination with False Promise means that one kill and you're back to full HP on the Bloodseeker in this kind of game as they're chasing for more.
Omar, only one left behind. He has one more lead charge with a mech to go. And they're not going to find him anyway. So TA2000 was there to back him up with the Aegis up just in case he needed it. He probably wouldn't want to do so into 4 heroes anyway, but... Well, meanwhile, Noob in the mid lane just taking the T1 towers. Just casually walks in. Little Shredder gets that done. Still a 3k advantage towards Quest. Props to Yatoro. He has kept up in net worth quite nicely with the Luna. Only about 1k behind TA2000 at the moment. Not too bad at all. Group up top lane though, Quest. So they want to try and move in. They're going to see Mira first. Mira immediately jump at a nice hex out into the Earth Spike and ensure they can't keep the chase up. Yatoro in the meantime also surviving Noob's onslaught as they do move out. Mudright was placed, silencing up the Snapfire, not allowing the kisses to come in as now Kaori is stuck in the stairwell, but Lal does not want to move in. He will immediately retreat away from that tombstone. The chase is on. Malik still trying to find a nice arena. Lands a spear onto Mira, into the kisses, but no, the Beat Edict. It is going to protect the Lion just for another day. Quest are trying to retreat, but they've left TA2000. They've left their Luna. He's going to lose the Aegis. That's one life down. Can they protect the second? Malik will jump in, finding Mira for Poshka. He's going to cop the arrow. He at least got the false promise in time, but he's taking way too much damage. Yatoro, in the meantime, needs to get out of there. Looks like he's going to be safe for now. Mira has fought back, will try to save, does barely survive. Holy Mira, I think it was like 40 HP he survived on. Could have been an immediate tieback for him if he wasn't too careful. They'll survive, only losing the Oracle.
You lose both supports on the side of Team Spirit. All things considered, not the worst outcome here, although...
Yatoro, I mean, not the worst outcome. Hold that thought, John, because it may just be the worst outcome.
Okay.
Noob,
oh, man.
He'll get the tips with the Rod of Atos set up into the arrow of Omar. That's a big one.
That is a massive one to give away. Noob. And we're starting to reach the point where level 20 is coming closer and closer here for Noob. His right click damage is going to scale up. No big steroid on hand, but can always just switch out an item build into maybe a casual Silver Edge if they feel the need for it. They want to prioritize something else for TA2000, although he is still going for the Silver Edge himself. Multiple Silver Edges wouldn't hurt in this game anyway. You did want that coming out for Quest. 13-11. Team Spirit, they've been showing a lot more fight, but Quest have still managed to equalize. 7k lead standing for themselves here. The scaling coming out from Spirit is looking a lot smoother. We all know you're not too far off for Yatoro into the Ags. And let me tell you, the Ags with Oracle, that is going to be a very interesting interaction. Like, because your HP's on hold. If you technically heal during the HP hold, does your barrier recover? That I've never seen, so I'm really curious to find out once the Ags is up.
Oh, we'll find out. I wonder if the Axe comes out on Maposhka for once. I mean, I want to see this Oracle
I would
Axe
love
in
that.
I want to see it in action.
I
'Cause I remember every caster says the same thing. In theory, it's broken, but nobody's bought it yet. Yatoro, mid lane, he is getting very aggressive on his own. Malik decided not to pop the BKB to go for the Arena Spear combo. To be fair, Yatoro had his own BKB anyway, so it may not have worked out. Yatoro feeling a bit confident in the mid lane, not getting punished though. But he's alright.
Ops Rupture, not the longest cooldown in the world. I will say, I have seen the Oracle Axe. Again, this is down to my one friend who tells me to run these crazy combos when we play Turbo. And I was playing Alchemist, but let me tell you.
Yeah.
It feels pretty damn good on an Alp. Now, not something you'd expect ever in a normal game, but if you can get that done, that BAT decrease is just an insane buff. Like,
Are scanning.
it's so insane. This is basically a balance change patch in an Ags.
Yeah. Except nobody buys, sadly. Mirror. Top lane. Gonna be okay. Actually missing the earth. Oh, a nice finger. At least commits the finger to cancel the TP, but is gonna go down. The thing is, none of that was necessary from the Lion. Now bottom lane, Lal's being watched by Noob. Cookie's gonna be there to set up. Noob's got the helping coming from Malik. From the north is Malik. Gonna jump in for the spear now, and Lal, oh boy. Swashbuckle on the spot is not gonna help his cause.
I appreciate that play, but that actually helps Quest. With a TP cancel, Noob sees that opportunity down south.
He
And that's a
certainly
bigger
does.
kill. He gets level 17
Gary?
now.
Grabs himself into his own tombstone, barely surviving Yatoro's damage output, as now the zombies will chase Yatoro down. He's gonna be okay. Gary, yeah, you need to commit a tombstone to survive that, but he's got the level 10 talent for the minus 15 seconds. Pretty short duration rather cooldown tombstone now.
I like this build on Kaori as well. He went for the Blink just to get the Blink Tombstone and Tomb.
I love it.
Just to save.
Why the hell not? 'Cause what do you really need on an Undying? That's the item, like, it's always a question of item builds when it comes to this hero. He's one of those heroes that can literally build anything, and it may just seem viable.
Would you like a Radiance in Dying, Mike?
No.
How about you said anything's viable. Divine
It
Rapier
is.
in Dying?
No.
Viable? Okay.
I
So
mean,
not
it's
everything.
viable. You could build it. I didn't say I liked it.
Alright, I'll appreciate that. But yeah, just blink and using the shard. I think that is a very cool thing from Kaori. I much appreciate that. Not something we've seen too much of. But it is forward thinking from Quest. But man, even if you stall this game out in Team Spirit, your scaling, it is strong. You can never count out an Oracle and Bloodseeker and the Timbersaw up front with his own scaling on hand. But you do start to worry. You know, this Luna, sure, it's a little bit more of a tempo hero, but it does still scale pretty nice. You've always got the Divine Rapier to fall back to if things feel a bit southbound here for TA2000. You've always got your Snapfire to always consider here as well.
Yatoro's baiting right now, top lane. This team right behind him. Malik, do not show yourself. Does go in, trying to go after Maposhka. There's 4 heroes around. They're trying to burst down Malik. He's just so tanky. Malik survives through it, takes down Maposhka. He's onto Mirror now. Excuse me? Onto Collapse, they'll find another with a great arrow from Omar. Oh my goodness, Quest, come on now. Yatoro, he's forced to BKB, but he's gone. Malik, that's enough. He'll keep going. He wants a bit more. Collapse will cop the false promise here from Maposhka. The buybacks are there. They'll try to buy back, but Malik's got an ultra kill. Looking for a rampage. He will not land the spear, but he's going after Collapse. Almost has it. Collapse, he'll run away. Malik, about to drop, finally goes down. Collapse, though, in the end, he is going to drop to the Starfall as they move in again with the Eclipse, but the Ancients are taking all the damage. What? Look, what kind of fight is this? Malik lost his mind, Jonathan. Malik just said, screw it, I'll do it my damn self.
That he does. He's got the Deso up in the Mars. Gets a lot of value from his damage output there. They instantly burst out. It's a 5 for 5. You know, with the dieback on your Oracle, that is a 5 for 5 in the end. Let's come out on top. A little bit better for Team Spirit. A lot of gold coming out there for Laurel. And they're going to be able to try to secure Roshan for themselves. Quest, maybe diving a bit too far forward into that chase on the left side of the map. Does get punished for it. A lot of small plays coming out there. The instant tombstone entombment from Cowrie once the Rupture was committed onto the Luna. Just cutting off any gains for Yatoro, cutting off any way for him to build up with Turst in the middle of these fights. Still not enough with how far Quest do commit. And again, Roche opening up for Team Spirit. Quest, and they are respawning. It's not the fastest Roche in the world, but they're not making themselves up to that area. This should be a freebie for Team Spirit and should start to equalize a little bit more. They are still at the deficit, but they can bring that fight back as long as your supports don't get instant nuke down and you can play with that false promise. Quest have to be a little bit cautious with a really prolonged fight here.
Oh, what a game we have on our hands now. 10k advantage the way of Quest, but there's an Aegis up on Lal, thanks to... Shout out to Lal, of course, for making that team fight kind of turn back the other way, allowing them the Aegis now, and... Well, here we go. We've got a game on our hands, Jonathan. 61% chance of Quest winning. Make that 57% chance now, according to Game It himself. They're going to move into the North Team Spirit.
Oh, but at level 20, he's inching closer and closer for Noob. He's going for the Daedalus into Satanic.
Let's see if it works out. Off lane, we might need to see that level 20 earlier, John, because the Tier 2 tower now under siege from Yatoro. It will be forced. Actually, one creep wave away from level 20 here on the Snapfire.
There it is.
He's got it now. There you go. This could be scary. This could be very scary. Omar, he's baited Mirror forward. Problem is he needs some help if it's really going to be a bait. He does go down. Yatoro getting Ray tossed up. Loses half his HP to one little shredder. That's just with the Chrysalis. Had it been a Daedalus, maybe he would have gotten a bit more. Still very scary though, half your HP being removed like that, just casually.
Very balanced. Nice to see it coming out here. Just need that big crit, Noob.
Oh, mid lane. Noob?
Oh.
What are you doing there, sir? Noob? Excuse me? You'll just go down. Lyle will hand over the tip. Thank you very much, Noob, he says.
TPing mid just to clear out, trying to get some farm. Maybe expecting everyone to still hang up top. Now Malik, all alone here.
Malik, he's going to try and survive this, but Collapse is on the chase. Poshka right behind him. Collapse trying to keep the vision up for a Fortune's End. We'll eventually get there, so Poshka should be able to go for the Fortune's End now and does get it. Malik can't play his way out of this one, I don't think. Should be going down, and he will. But Poshka will take the kill. And now Collapse has enough gold for a full Ethereal Blade, apparently. Oh, mid. Lal's gone.
What?
Does anyone want to tip Lal? Lal just tipped Noob.
What?
Do we want to hand it back?
He was in the roll-up. Then
yes, he was.
He was in the roll-up. Then he canceled it. He could have just dodged all that damage.
Yes, he could have, John. He didn't.
This is a little bit strange from both teams. Those are not insignificant mistakes to make on Quest and on Team Spirit. Still favors Team Spirit overall. That leads down to 5k, considering that they killed off Noob and Malik. But losing Laurel does allow some time for Quest to stall out for the respawns here.
Mid lane, Noob's going to TP back in. They've got a Nullify now up on TA 2000. Keep in mind, Yatoro still has about 2 minutes on the Aegis, so feeling confident to try and move back into the Tier 2 tower. Quest, trying to set up. Arrow, gonna fly in. Oh, that's a great arrow!
Oh my god.
That is a great arrow. The Lucent Beam mini-stun holding him down just long enough to take down the Aegis. Yatoro forced the BKB and run, but here comes the chase, Malik. He's in. Yatoro out of HP. He's going to cop the false promise. He'll survive a little bit longer, but he's going to go for the man fight. He needs the thirst regen. Can he get it in time? He'll activate everything trying to survive this, but there's no chance. No chance in hell. That is a very cheeky play from TA 2000 and Omar. That's the coordination we're talking about. These guys are just, they're on the same page every time.
They are. The chase down as well. Perfect timing on the arena right as the BKB fades, understanding that the duration's not that long left in Yatoro. So all of a sudden that tier 2 push, they don't even find the objective in Quest. That's going to be more than enough gold for Noob to find that full Daedalus. They're going to get their own push going. Remember, this is still a Luna draft from Quest.
Turrets are
One small
fortified.
mistake, your high ground's gonna be under siege.
Bottom lane. Spirit. Oh, they're in trouble, Malik. He's all over the map. Arrow flying in, not gonna land. Mirror gonna be just fine. Just barely. My goodness.
Radiant's bottom
Quest.
tower is under attack. Radiant's bottom tower has fallen.
They're gonna be alright, but the tier 2 bottom tower is now gone. 8k advantage the way of Quest. Team Spirit not out of this game yet, but it is starting to feel a little bit worse for where, as time goes on here, this team is. The draft doesn't actually scale better than the Quest draft into the late game is now the question. Carry's gonna find Collapse. Collapse gonna try and move in. Collapse almost taking him down, but there's a tombstone grab again, saving the day for the Undying, as Collapse will be fine to just chain away.
That is an instant D-ward though, but Team Spirit smoking up while they've got vision. They've got information where this fight breaks out. Good forward wards here. Just watching between the tier 2 and tier 3s.
Team Spirit. Trying to move in. Here we go. Tier 2 tower. This time around we'll go
Dire's middle tower
up towards
has
top
fallen.
lane with the smoke. Trying to maybe see if they can find PA 2000 farming this area. He does reveal himself on the mid creep wave now, so they know he's not around. Mirror still hanging around. I thought he might try for some deep wards, but doesn't have any available. Just gonna walk away. Seeing if he can find a straggler, but doesn't get so lucky.
Does have still that one ward below the high ground here, giving some good vision. It's not within the sentry range either for Quest, but Quest will smoke up. This is a little bit more blind on their part, only having the one forward ward right down in that bottom area. They might have taken a glimpse of Collapse, but doesn't feel like the big kill they'd really want here.
Waiting Quest, the smoke. You'll see Collapse. Not exactly the easiest target to aim down. He still holds on to the cheese and the timber. They are going to back off. It's still a very close game. Like, one team fight could make it the Team Spirit do have the bigger advantage in this game. So Quest cannot afford to throw that away to Team Spirit. Mind you,
Alec.
leaving your turret to farm this long, like, he's going to have a butterfly up very soon. Be a bit of a concern here for TA 2000. Thing is, TA 2000 is going to have a full Satanic up very soon.
You already have a full Satanic up in Malik as well. Had a lot of regen to play with the God's Rebuke up front. Roshan, 40 seconds away until we see that respawn timer. Team Spirit's starting to take position up top to get control here. And Quest, you've got a good smoke angle out, not under any vision. No forward vision here either from Team Spirit on this area.
Moving in, Team Spirit, they are prepped
God,
for this
Yatoro.
fight, but it could be a bit rough. TA 2000 with the Silver Edge moving in first. If they can find Mirror, it'd be such a good start. In fact, they have, but Noob can't get the damage off in time. Rolling Thunder down from Lyle, but he misses absolutely everyone on the Initiate. Nobody's landing anything yet. Even the Kiss is not landing once onto Mirror. There's an arrow that lands, but nobody's around to capitalize. Now Omar, he's going to cop a Rupture. He'll leap away with the Guardian Greaves, but it's not going to be enough. The Luna, or rather Mirana, is down. In comes the Eclipse from the Luna. Onto Collapse, but he eats the cheese and walks away. Now a double Earth Spike comes out from Mirror. He lands on Carry and does take him down. As well as yeah, Noob. Noob with the triple kill. Just jumping and cleaning everyone up. He's got the Daedalus. It makes enough sense, John.
They pour everything to just find those first 2 kills, but Noob's your big issue. Doesn't even matter that the Eclipse comes out a little bit preemptively from TA 2000. You need to focus down to Snapfire. You need to stop this output.
Well, he's got it again. He's got the blink up with the little shredder if they want to try and jump in, and there was, what, 2 buybacks committed. Maposhka and Mirror are both back into this. 3v3 scenario. Collapse will move in. No Eclipse to worry about this time. They've still got the Nullifier, but they've caught TA 2000 and Mirror immediately just deleted by Noob. My goodness, Collapse trying to run, probably not gonna make it out as the Nullifier does end up landing. They'll at least get the False Promise to try and help, but Collapse has been arrowed up by Omar, still trying to chain away, but there is no escape. Even the Tombstone just in the nick of time to ensure the TA 2000 will not drop. And Roshan is now open for Quest.
Dude, all those kills, Noob is just a few EXP points away from hitting 25. You cannot sustain that. Like, I was going to say earlier on, if you just bought Blade Mails here, it might have been enough. And Blade Mail is still actually a pretty good play at this point in the game. Like a Blade Mail on Timbersaw plus maybe your Bloodseeker. You could just have Noob kill himself, but with his own Satanic build-up, that he could just immediately buy out if he wants to, it's not going to be enough at that point. Let's see, a major win for Quest. Just a topsy-turvy team fight up top. Malik getting a really deep chase, popping BKB early, still finding a decent arena, and no one focusing the snap. Noob just being very patient in backline with that blink, buys out a full Hex first, wants to insta-give people, and he's got so much damage. Universal type, man. Just buy any item you want. You're gonna have the damage, you're gonna have the crit output. What a hero.
He's in hard, he's a big boy. Refresher shot up as well, so double sight device, double kisses, double little shredder, which seems to be the big one right now. The Noob, he can literally just jump in and delete everyone. We might have the opportunity now as Malik, he jumps in with the arena, and now the little shredder mirror, he's already gone! And now the double little shredder! Oh boy, they just disappeared!
That's it?
That's it? That's gotta be it! GG is called, but Plushka's seen enough! Malik and Noob just setting up perfectly, ending the game together. Quest, a convincing 2-0 victory against Team Spirit. Just hitting their timing and... yeah, double little shredder. That's a thing when you've got that refresher shot up, Jonathan.
That it is. Snapfire, you know, it's a hero. Scaled really nicely early on. The timings of Quest, they had a really good understanding once more of what they had to do. A little bit messier in the early game. You have to give props to Team Spirit. They were finding a lot more openings. They were finding a lot of punishment. It kind of rolled sideways up in the... it's hard to pinpoint one occasion. One moment that does stand out is when Mira fingered the creep to stop that TP in. I think that actually caused more issues, as that gave a free kill onto them, onto Collapse Down bot, because of that move, and actually Laurel. And for Team Spirit, again, they came out with stronger lanes. They had more early activity coming out from Yatoro, but they couldn't deal with the late game. Like, even that last fight on Roche up top, which we'll see in the highlights, I'm sure, later on, where the BKB from Malik came early, they were chasing really deep. You know, you force the clips out into one target and the Timbersaw manages to eat cheese. It looks awkward for Quest. But no one stops Noob. All your spells are used up, and guess what? Snapfire with Daedalus, with level 20 up. You just clean up, and off the back of that fight, he just gets 25. And then what do you do about that? Look, it's a lost fight into the 25 of Snap, into Aegis, into high ground. That's just GG.
And Noob's definitely arguably one of the best Snapfire players in the tournament right now. Like, just always seems to pop off when it comes to the mid Snapfire, as we are seeing Malik just popping off here with an ultra kill on the Mars, almost finding a rampage on Collapse, but couldn't land the spear to secure himself that rampage. It was still a fantastic fight that Team Spirit ended up turning back their way at the end. You see TA2000 eventually, I believe, does go down to Lal, who pops off at the end of that team fight. It's a complete mess. And here was the big one that looked like it should have gone Team Spirit's way, but eventually Quest, I believe, did turn this one. This was a very prolonged fight in and of itself, because you had the buybacks coming up from both sides. A big earth spike, and well, of course Noob just jumping right in the middle, just deleting everybody with that Snapfire. Just ridiculous. And we don't get to see the last one. They were already just deleted by this point. Unlucky. Doesn't really matter. Props to Quest. 2-0 victory for them. Again, a very strong performance against Team Spirit.
And that does bolster their chances of just starting in the upper bracket now for playoffs. And these two teams were tied up with that 2-0 scoreline for Quest. They are bolstered all the way up to a 1-2 scoreline, in concession with PSG, LGD, and Evil Geniuses, depending on how their series goes. So, looking pretty good. Quest setting the foot right, you know, going through play-ins, having a lot more matches to play can be exhausting, but also sets you up well, as we saw in the last TI with our last chance qualifier. So would not sleep on Quest at all. They had a great play-ins. They're looking great coming out here, finally getting a 2-0 up against a team that managed to get 1-1s up against Gaiman and EG. Not a small feat at all for Quest. And Team Spirit, they're not out of it yet. You know, their scoreline's still manageable. They just need to start to tighten things up. Quest really just danced around them, especially in Game 1. Game 2 was tighter, but still not enough.
Well, John, good news is we do have another series on the C-Stream coming up after a bit of an extended break, but it's going to be a great series between Team Liquid and, of course, BBT. So we're going to have to go to that extended break, and, of course, right after that break, we'll be back with Game 1 between Liquid and BBT. We'll see you soon.